Good morning, Fandom Menace. We are live. It is me, it is he, it is who, it is Itepokui, and that's who. I don't have anything clever this morning. We're barely hanging on by a thread as it is, and we just started. You can tell we're running a little bit behind here. That was due to some technical difficulties. My computer, which has been just outstanding as of late and not interrupted any streams on Monday or Wednesday night. It finally just this morning said, you know what, you're trying to go live. I understand what you're doing, but I'm just not down for it. And so it froze. And I had Tap and Die, or Tap Skywalker, I should say. Fuck it, we're all Skywalkers today. He
coming to you live from the Ram Ranch.
He's welcome back to the show.
It's good to be back.
And I have with me to my right, my brother from another mother, the Groovinator.
We are all Orpids.
Huh.
Oh,
give me a lot to think about.
That's a deep cut, yeah.
I'm at the
deep Miami Connection cut there.
Oh my God!
My father! Oh, well. Oh, how are we all doing this morning?
Better than you, I guess. I don't know. No,
Yeah.
I kept closing windows because I went to pull up this article that we are about to roast, and I closed the frickin' StreamYard window because I'm a boomer.
Let me see. I'll try to do a screen share here. Let me let me tempt fate here. And
keeping the fingers crossed.
I'm fucking telling you, I don't know if I have it in my email or not. Oh no, because I don't think. Yes, I do. Right here, I emailed it to myself, and I starred it because I have 9,986,000 emails. That's how many I haven't opened. I just go through and delete because half of them are like YouTube notifications. It's like this person went live or this person uploaded a video. You know that.
I know. What was the point of that bell?
I know. I'm like, I don't want an email. You can just
can't ding everybody. No, I'm just kidding. You can't. Yeah.
Oh, I've tried to ding everybody.
Of course.
Oh, let's see here. Close. Collider has a lot of ads.
Surely,
yeah. I keep trying to open the article, but it keeps on fucking up on me on my end too.
Stop showing this ad. I said stop showing this ad 20 times ago when I clicked close.
Do you want to do the Forbes one instead? I have that one open. I can get you a link.
Yeah.
Do that one instead. Yeah.
Let's just do that one. Forbes is a little bit. Collider's just there's so many pop-ups and ads on there. It's like I don't want this bitch to crash on me.
All right, the link is in the private chat right now.
Okay, I got her. And why am I'm freaking humming the tune from Bluey.
I think it's funnier coming from Forbes anyway, because how often has Mendelsohn been up there like Star Wars is great?
Oh God! And who is this? This is Paul Tassi.
Because Mendelsohn couldn't even be tasked with this. Like,
no,
you realize what the trolls are gonna do to me if I read a Star Wars article now and yeah,
yep.
I can't do this.
Yeah, Scotty.
My reputation is at stake.
What's the other? Matt Miller is the other guy that writes for Forbes, isn't it?
I think so.
He's the other ass clown that's basically just nothing short of an attack journalist for Forbes. What the Jesus?
Yeah, there's that, but that's the only ad.
That just caught me off guard. I was like, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's what she said. All right.
That's what I said. At the Ram Ranch.
Oh no. We got to get you off the Ram Ranch. I think you're having issues
down
right? There. This poor
the
guy.
Marines are laying siege at us right now.
Oh, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is now the worst reviewed Star Wars movie ever.
No!
Oh my God!
No!
Oh my Lord!
I guess they saw EFAP.
No.
I guess how do I close this pain in the ass? Let's see. I wondered if this would end up actually happening with so many reviews already in, but it finally did. I have been tracking the Rotten Tomatoes score of Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which we're going to talk about Rotten Tomatoes.
Like it's that hard.
ever since it debuted below expectations, and surprisingly planted itself between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones in terms of overall score.
He's been busting his ass being a fan by staring at his phone all day.
He didn't even have the goddamn nerve to say he's busted his ass for 4 or 5 years as a Star Wars fan.
Oh,
right.
I busted my ass looking at Rotten Tomatoes reviews for 35 minutes to write this article.
Isn't it funny how all of the pieces have fallen down over the last year? It's what a time to be alive, man. Seriously,
Yep.
it's like we had to watch Star Wars get murdered, and now it's funny just watching all these people look like fools.
Oh yeah, because they're having to walk back all their bullshit.
It's everything that we said
Yep.
is coming true, and it's like we're being vindicated. You know,
Yep.
it wasn't really so much about us winning; it's just about us not being called liars.
Yep.
You know, that was more important to me. It's like we had no reason to lie. We banded together. We became friends and got in this group of this community because nobody else would listen to us.
Yep.
And now everything that we predicted, everything that has transpired is done so according to my design.
That's basically it. I mean, it's a beautiful thing when a plan comes together, and not that we plan the demise of Star Wars, but they set the pieces of the puzzle up, and then or the dominoes up, and then they released one movie that was the linchpin to really everything. Let's be honest. But there was a lot of dominoes along the way that were set up. But when that one movie dropped, it was all the dominoes knocking over. This is, I don't know, this is just like the creme brulee. I mean, this is the dessert.
It is too. And you know something else, dude? Just the existence of the Rise of Skywalker is acknowledgement, and that's why the critics really hate it so much. It's acknowledgement that the fans were unhappy.
Yeah.
And that they had to bring us back because at the end of the day, their parks are losing money, the movies were losing money, their merchandise was losing money. They needed us poor, old, misogynist fans to come back and watch the, alleged misogynist fans, because we're not really what they say we are, but, they just painted that narrative. This new crowd that they wanted to attract didn't buy it. Didn't care.
Don't forget the rides are breaking down too.
Oh,
the rides are breaking down.
The Star Wars rides, the new ones that have been opened. I think the most recent one they opened broke down right immediately.
But we called this shit a long time ago. I remember just the three of us talking about this before, like on a live stream somewhere. All right, and we were talking about this, and we had said like, these people that you're trying to attract, they're not interested. They have their own things already. They don't need to come into Star Wars. It's like you needed to cater to the original fans. Those were the ones that had the nostalgia, not these new people. You can't take nostalgia feels and then create something new out of it at the same time. It doesn't fucking work.
Yeah.
So this is what you get. You have a franchise that you squandered, all right, and you have fans that you abandoned. And you had new fans that just weren't interested to begin with. It didn't work. Your experiment failed, and the existence of the Rise of Skywalker is proof of all of that.
This is the point in the show where if I had the baller version of StreamYard, I would be playing a clip of Joker right now with a Fandom Menace logo over Joker's head and the Disney logo over Murray's head. You get what you fucking deserve. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
There it is, right there. That's basically what happened to Disney.
Yep.
They did this themselves. They might as well have put the fucking gun to their own head and pulled the fucking trigger here, because this movie that was it. The Last Jedi was the last straw. That was the linchpin. We'd been shit on because we're incels and we're man babies and we're afraid of women and we're misogynists and racist and sexist and bigots and homophobes and transphobes. And we're just
the funny thing is, okay, there are admittedly a lot of people that like the Rise of Skywalker, but the people that are supporting that are not the people that they were trying to bring back.
No,
like you know what I mean? Like the people that the Fandom Menace are not the supporters of this. It's like it's the normies that were really jarred by The Last Jedi that are like, okay, yeah, this is great. This is totally Star Wars again. It's not, at least not from what I hear. I didn't see it, so I can't really comment on it, and I don't really care. There was no reason for me to go see it, so that was one pain that I spared myself from over the holiday season.
Yeah, I unfortunately, like I said, I sat through this, and every couple minutes and I knew it was going to happen. And like I said, seeing my sister admit, and I finally got her to admit, because she has been an ardent. We have had just almost shouting matches about how bad The Last Jedi is, and she finally goddamn admitted it. She fucking admitted that it is a shit movie that derailed Star Wars completely, and I got her to admit it, and I got her to admit Rian Johnson's a piece of shit. And let me tell you what, do you know how good that felt to have somebody who's that ardent of a defender of that movie and has called me every name in the book, and now she had to walk it back. And that's like you said, man, it felt good on a personal level, because it's like I wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. And I wasn't this bad person because I didn't like a movie, because after you sit back and look at these, you can objectively say that these movies are just garbage. I mean, let's be honest. Hux coming out in Rise of Skywalker with the brilliantly written line of "I was the traitor." Like, seriously, it was Vince McMahon pulling the hood off in '98, and it was me, Austin. It was me the whole time. I was the higher power. You know, I mean, it was for the rest.
And they would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
That's it. That's it. Loudy. Hey, Coach Loudy's in the chat. Good morning, Coach. I am
morning,
Coach Loudy sent me a picture that I'm going to be screen sharing when we get through this article, because it's really fucking cool, and it's a Star Wars deal. So, and let's see what else we got. There was something else. But anyway, let's move on here with this next paragraph. I wondered if this would end up actually happening with so many reviews. Okay, I read that one. As the weeks pressed on and more reviews came in, it slipped down even further and ended up tied with The Phantom Menace as the worst reviewed Star Wars movie at a 53% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Wow, that's rough.
Now, yeah, that's just above Cat Pan mediocre. Now, I
don't know about you guys. I mean, I still love the Fandom Menace or the Phantom Menace.
I do too. I love that.
I admit, now that I'm older, looking back at it, that I get where people were coming from. I do. I still have a little, because at the time I got caught up in the zeitgeist of, oh my God, Star Wars again. You know, like after how many years, it's a brand new Star Wars. Holy shit, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, but when you watch the movie without anything else attached to it, having not read any novelizations or comic books or any of that other ancillary bullshit that, you know, sometimes make things seem better than they really are, it's really not that great of a movie. No, it has a couple of moments that are in it that are great.
But now this is pod racing.
All in all, you realize that what all the Phantom Menace really did was show you that Lucas, when he's challenged, would make better decisions, rather than, hey, Lucas, you do whatever you want, and we'll just surround Lucas with a bunch of yes men, and what you get is the Phantom Menace. So, but yeah.
Yep. Because who was it they would always keep in line? That one dude, that producer, forgot his name.
Rick McCallum?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't. I don't know if it
was. I can't remember the name. That's one.
Gary Kurtz, actually, that used to keep him in line. Actually, with and also the original writer Lawrence Kasdan used to challenge him a lot with things. He'd have to explain it. But yeah, I think Lucas just was so afraid that he was going to have the same problems that he did when he made original Star Wars in the /70s, that he went a little too far out there to make sure he was comfortable and not going to have him, that it just over relied on the CG, and there were some narrative problems for sure. And then we're not going to talk about Jar Jar Binks because that's been done to death. But it's not that great of a movie. No, I still like it, but it's not great.
I could agree, because I just don't hate on it like some people do.
No,
I do remember that was like my first Star Wars movie too. I ever saw in theaters. Every other one was on VHS until that one came out.
I am old enough to remember arguing about it with people in chat rooms. like ad nauseum. Like it was a thing that we argued about, but at the end of the day, we weren't like, nobody ever turned around and said, well, if you defend this movie, then you must be a misogynist pig. There was none of that shit going on.
Yeah.
You know, it was just more or less, no, this movie's dumb. It's not really Star Wars, or it's
See,
dumb Star Wars. That's all those arguments that were ever like. It was that kind of stuff.
I wasn't sure what to expect at first because before I heard there was a new Star Wars movie. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what are they going to do with this? Are they going to do a remake of it? That was my first thought, was they're going to remake, try to remake the originals and like redo it. And that really wasn't that big. I mean, you had remakes and stuff then, but not like now. It wasn't as commonplace. So, but then it's a prequel. All right.
I'd never seen a prequel before. I never even heard the term prequel before those movies came out.
And that was really it.
I was really caught up in the anticipation of it too, because I was a Star Wars insider at the time, which was a fan club. The only way you could join it was to mail away, like mail a check and join it that way, and then you had Star Wars Insider sent to you. And I would read the magazines. The magazines were really good at building the hype for that, because they had a star tracker in the magazine where they would keep track of everybody that's ever even had so much as a 5-second cameo in a Star Wars film, and whatever the hell it was they were doing around the world. And I liked that, because it's like you always knew what they were working on, what movie was next, from everybody,
Yep.
So it was really cool. And of course there's always the behind the scenes exclusives too for this one. And it was cool to get caught in that hype, because a new Star Wars movie hadn't been done since I was a teeny little kid. So it was pretty big stuff. It was easy to get caught up in that hype.
Yeah, like I said, I went to see Return of the Jedi in the theater at 3 years old, and then I was 19 when I went back to the theater to watch The Phantom Menace. So there was a huge gap in between there. Now, I was not as caught up in Star Wars at 19 as I was, up until probably I was about 13, 14. But I always loved Star Wars. I was always a Star Wars fan, but it was just, there was other things going on, and I was like, okay, cool, a new movie, so I dug it. I wasn't like, there were some things I didn't like at first. I wasn't a big huge fan of like the focus on the pod racing and stuff like that. I was like,
yeah,
it was kind of juvenile.
Even at the time, looking back at it, I think one of my biggest problems I have with the Phantom Menace is that there are too many like cartoon characters in it.
Watto and
like way too many. It's like, let's have a CGI do this and a CGI do that and a CGI do that, and all of these characters really distract from the movie ever trying to seem like there's any kind of real threat, danger, or any kind of drama going on. Like they're all distractions. You know what I mean? And that's something that if I would have done it myself, I would have changed. I would have dialed back a lot of those cartoonish characters. Like you don't need to have something flying around and talking like a guy that owns a pizzeria. You know what I mean?
Yeah, freaking Watto and Sabula were just like, I don't know, they were
all really
he was cool though. Think about it. He couldn't be tricked by the Jedi. The Jedi mind tricks don't work on him.
They were so cartoonish that they distract. It's like every time that movie tries to get serious thing, you had this distraction. Now I like the pod race. Also, the Phantom Menace came out before CGI took over Hollywood.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like there was CGI in movies, but it was really subdued, and it was always mixed with practical effects. Whereas most of the Phantom Menace is just green screen city, So at the time, those effects were really breathtaking, So it was fun to watch those. You look back at it now, it's like, that don't look that great.
A lot of the cityscapes and stuff like that were models, though.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I absolutely love.
The vistas were very pretty in that movie. They were fun to look at, Naboo and it just different shots of Coruscant. And it was fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, Naboo, and I absolutely love the planet of Naboo and Coruscant. But let's get into some of these rankings here. We got, okay, The Empire Strikes Back is up top of the list, where it should be with 94%, followed by A New Hope at 93%. No issues there. Here's where the issues start to come in, right?
Force Awakens, really?
This thing right here. Okay, now I don't like Disney Star Wars at all. All right. I like Rogue One and The Mandalorian because they're done correctly. This right here this set up some nice things. I'm not going to completely shit on it because it did set up some nice things. And
I was very I don't know if I've told you the guys this time. I was very adamant about this happening because I've always been upset about the merger, or we shouldn't call it a merger. It was a freaking sellout. All right.
Yeah.
The fact that Lucas sold out to Disney, all right, when he did, it's like, I get why he did it because he took a lot of crap for those prequels, and he was probably like, all this work I did, all this planning, all this hype, everything for what? It's like all everybody does is talk about how much they hate the Phantom Menace. So you probably thought, okay, I've had enough. I'm getting older. I'm going to retire. I will just sell this to the biggest buyer. $4 billion is nothing to scoff at. I mean, for one person, he's a crow. Okay, so, but the fact that he did that when he spent literally his entire life to not sell, to be, what he had to do to become independent was become that which he hated. He became the company. You know what I mean? So yeah, he was the Senate. So he sold out to Disney. I'm like, why would you do that? Everything you did, your whole fucking legacy, you would sell it to those people. But at the time, Marvel was really coming up, and I'm like, okay, well, they own the Marvel movies, and those are really good. So maybe if they put that kind of a formula to the Star Wars franchise, it might actually work. And then when they announced J.J. Abrams, the last thing that I had saw was Star Trek, the Star Trek reboot that came out in 2009, which I still like that movie. I will admit it's not a Star Trek movie. It's a Star Wars movie with a Star Trek coat of paint on it. But at the time, that worked because you had enough nostalgia to go on, and then you had enough action and excitement to keep people entertained. So it kind of reinvigorated that franchise a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So Force Awakens, I was not excited. I'm like, whoa, we're already filming this, and you just bought, like, the ink isn't even dry on the deal yet, and we're already making movie announcements. This is troubling here, But what lured me in was the production stills, like the drawing of the AT-AT on its side, the Darth Vader melted mask, and all that. I'm like, okay, they're getting my attention again.
See, they hit you with that nostalgia bug.
They did. I caught it. I fell for it again. I did.
The previews, they showed Han and Chewie.
Oh God, the fucking trailer with Han and Chewie. I mean, I think they had everybody with that trailer. Just seeing that, it gave you goosebumps seeing those two back together.
And you know what? I still didn't go see it in the theater. I still did not see that in the theater. I did not. I didn't watch any of them in the theater until The Last Jedi.
I saw it twice at the theaters.
I didn't go to see any of them. And then, like I said, one of my coworkers bought me tickets to go watch The Last Jedi, and I watched The Force Awakens and Rogue One right before I watched The Last Jedi. And I'm like, Force Awakens, I was like, okay.
Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't go right away to see The Force Awakens. I went with a buddy of mine later because I wasn't going to go. And then I started finding out that, like, theaters were sold out for like weeks. You could not get into the movie. And I'm like, what? People can't get into the movie? What are you talking about? I got two giant multiplexes, like this was still when I still lived in Illinois. I got two giant multiplexes near me, and every showing is sold out like every day. And to the point, you go to there's one by a mall, all right, is giant, brand new multiplex, people waiting outside in line to get in to see Star Wars. I'm like, I have not seen this since I don't know when. And I'm talking about Phantom Menace, all the special editions, no lines, none. I mean, a lot of people in the theater, sure, but not lines waiting outside to get in to see the freaking movie. I'm like, this is weird. Okay, so when I finally saw it, I saw it at some little dumpy theater like in near Indiana where a buddy of mine lived. Like little theater inside of a mall. That's when I first finally saw it. I'm like, okay, well, that was okay. Wasn't terrible. It was all right. I enjoyed it for the most part. I think I was more anxious to see where they were going to go with it than the initial first run. You know what I mean? It wasn't what I had hoped it would be, but it wasn't bad. Okay, it was definitely all right. You know, and the next time I saw it was here in Florida. I didn't have any trouble getting to see it because people just don't go to the movies in Florida here like they do in Illinois.
Yeah, it's nicer outside. Nobody wants to be stuck in a theater.
Exactly. Right? So there was no trouble getting in to see it here in Florida. So those were the 2 times that I saw it in the theater.
I just didn't want to go see him, and I just didn't. I'm like, I'm not going to go see it. And like I said, I rented them both right before I went to watch Last Jedi. Okay. And I'm like I said, I watched Force Awakens, and I'm like, okay. And then I figured, I knew where Rogue One was going to fall, where that lined up. And I'm like, after Force Awakens, I was kind of like iffy. I watched Rogue One. I'm like, damn, that was good. I'm like, too bad that wasn't, what they were doing with this timeline now. And, something along those lines, obviously a different.
Rogue One's another one that got me in the door with the trailers. I had heard that idea, and I thought, well, that sounds like kind of a dumb idea for a movie. Why would they do that in between? Like you're doing the new trilogy here, and
and then you're going to go all the way back.
Now you're going to go, and I had such a hard time explaining that to my parents.
Oh yeah,
they still don't know what the hell that movie's about. They still don't get it. Like, I don't matter how they're just like, I start talking to them. It's like you can just see like them checking out in mid explanation. It's like okay, obviously this is not for everyone. But that's where I started to see the problems. I'm like, if you do a Star Wars story thing in between all these movies, you're going to confuse everybody.
Yep. And then
I think they did. I think they confused the normal movie-going audience way too much.
Then I saw The Last Jedi, and within the opening crawl, I'm looking at it, and then that first scene happened, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like I looked at my buddy, and he's laughing, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like literally,
had he seen it before you, or
no, we went on opening night. He got tickets for opening night because I saw the previews, and I'm like, what the hell? He bought me.
So he was laughing at the movie, like the mama jokes. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. He thought we got in my truck when we were leaving, and he's like, man, that was. I'm like, did you say that was awesome? I'm like, I was like, that wasn't good. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, what was good about that?
I'll confess, I laughed when Luke threw the lightsaber because at the time it was awkward, and because I was like, that last movie built so much up around her handing him that lightsaber, and it worked. Like it really got me excited. I'm like, wow, a cliffhanger on a literal cliff. Cool. Can't wait to see where it goes, and then that happened, and I was just uncomfortable, but I was hoping that there would be some kind of a payoff with that later, and there never was.
No, that's right. You were subverted. That was one thing with that ending to Force Awakens. It was like you said, it was a literal cliffhanger on a cliff. I'm like, could they get any more meta than that?
I thought it was kind of cool at the time.
It was a great shot.
Your last movie was literally all about finding Luke Skywalker. Now that you found him, you're gonna literally not do anything with him in the movie.
Yeah.
What?
It was fucking painful to watch.
That one just kept getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And I was checked out. I think where I checked out was when Leia flew through space. That was just too much for me to handle. I was really trying to stay on board with a lot of it, but I was getting kind of like uncomfortable and bored. I've never been bored watching a Star Wars movie until then. And I went and saw the Clone Wars movie where they go rescue Jabba the Hutt's kid. I don't like that movie, but I wasn't bored watching it.
Is that Rada? Is that Rada the Hutt?
Rada.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It was that one animated one. I was the only asshole in the theater watching it. And
isn't that EVS's favorite character, Rada the Hutt?
It is,
I think so.
I think so.
He loves Jabba the Hutt, but he wants to see Rada the Hutt at some point.
But yeah, it was the Clone Wars cartoon movie. I don't want to say cartoon is like a CGI thing, but I went to go see that because that's how much of a Star Wars fan I was. nobody was in the theater. I knew I screwed up, So I'm like, oh, okay, so this must not. When I found out what it was, I was like, so all this just rescue Jabba the Hutt's kid. Weird, okay, really weird. Didn't like it, but I wasn't bored. Okay, I wasn't bored watching it. I started getting bored in the middle of The Last Jedi, and after the whole Leia thing, and Laura Dern lecturing Poe Dameron, which really started to get up my nerves, and I was like, this movie is really boring. Like, it's really dragging. Canto Bight dragging really bad, like really distracting from the main part of the story, which also doesn't go anywhere. I'm like, so all these things that were set up in the last movie are not going to get paid off? Are you kidding me right now?
My
like, you're going to kill off your villain, where we spent like eight years, what felt like a span of 8 years, speculating on who the fuck he was and where he come from. You're just going to kill him off and not tell us anything about him?
Yep, that was it right there.
Subversion.
The throne room scene with Snoke, and then the stupid ass fight with the Praetorian guards. I'm like, that coupled with Canto Bight. I was literally like getting ready to fucking leave. I'm like, I can't leave. Dummy's sitting next to me. And I got he rode with me. I'm like, this.
Yeah, by the time they get to the big salt planet fight, I was like, oh, that's right, we still haven't done this shit yet. I mean, I was like, this movie's still going. I really felt the length. It felt like an hour longer than any other Star Wars movie. It's not, but
that's what she said. Yeah, really, you really felt the length. Damn it, Adam, stop it. Stop it.
Sorry.
Stop it.
I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna sound like that.
Yeah, no, but it drags so bad. It's like that scene is supposed to be cool, but by the time it happens, I'm already done. And I left that theater with a big fucking headache, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that movie.
Yeah,
I'm like, I've never felt that with a Star Wars movie. Even like, I wasn't crazy about Clone Wars, but I still enjoyed most of it. I always said that was like the worst one, because everybody's like, no, a Phantom Menace is the worst Star Wars one. I'm like, no, this is Clone Wars up until The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, the last Jedi. It took me a long time to think about how I felt about it, and then I just finally thought, I'm like, okay, so clearly there's no direction here. There's no outline that anybody's following, and they're just making it up as they go, and that irritated me, because there's a lot of like science fiction type TV shows and shit like that where they say that there's a big narrative in place. X-Files kind of did that for a while. Lost did that shit, where they say there's a big, but they're clearly making it up as they go along, and they're just stringing along the audience.
Another J.J. Abrams product. Lost.
Correct. And I thought about that. I'm like, so that's what J.J. Abrams does. He does this mystery box thing, and I'm not doing this. Yeah.
Speaking of J.J., do y'all remember that show Felicity?
Yeah.
I remember it.
He made that. J.J. made that too.
Did he really?
I did watch The Fringe, though, and I didn't like that one. And that was another J.J. Abrams produced product that went nowhere. And I'm like, so if that's the formula now, where we're just going to make shit up as we go and not really go anywhere, then I don't want to watch that. I'm done. Yeah. And I didn't show up for Solo, and I didn't show up for Rise of Skywalker. Probably didn't show up. I didn't boycott it. I just wasn't fucking interested.
Yeah. So I didn't. I had no interest. See, Josh was trying to get me to go to watch Solo with him after Last Jedi. That was my buddy's name that I went to the movies with, and he was like, "Oh, we got to go," because they had the trailer for Solo in the Last Jedi. I'm like, that doesn't look good. The same thing.
How this RT score has The Last Jedi up over Return of the Jedi is fucking beyond me. I don't get it.
I'm honestly shocked that Rogue One is ahead of Return of the Jedi. Now, I love Rogue One.
I do too, but I don't think it's better than Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi had I was invested in that movie, man. And we can laugh all day about the puppets and the Ewoks and everything, but because that's where the movie kind of starts to suck a little bit, is when the Ewoks show up. All right, but it's still not really about the Ewoks and the Endor battle. It's about Luke fighting Darth Vader. All right, that was a big, important fucking moment, and those scenes still hold up, man. As far as tension and redemption of Darth Vader, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. I sure as hell didn't. I was like super excited because I was always a big Darth Vader fan, but I'm like, people are like, but he's the bad guy. I'm like, yeah, but he's cool. He's really cool. So when the cool bad guy becomes the hero, you're just like, yes, it's like you're sad to see him go, but at the same time you think about it, it's like he was always a good guy and he turned him. It was like just really cool. You want to talk about subversion?
Yeah,
a guy willing to sacrifice himself to save somebody else. That's pretty fucking that's some subversion right there.
And it's done right.
Yes, and it makes sense. It's like the only thing is, over the years I've not. I mean, if I'm ranking just the trilogy, I usually put Return of the Jedi farther down the list because I'm like, so everybody says that the Empire Strikes Back is too dark of a movie, but in the Return of the Jedi, so many characters that everybody loves die in that fucking movie. Like there's just endless death. It's like Jabba the Hutt, Boba Fett, Yoda, Darth Vader. It just keeps going. It's like it's too much.
Yeah, because Palpatine didn't die though, so you can't count him.
Yeah, yeah, he didn't die.
He didn't die.
Hey, nobody's ever really gone.
Yeah, that's
Once
true.
again, making movies that make a scene seem meaningless again. Yeah, this is the same thing they did with the fucking Terminator 2 when they kept making sequels. I'm like, well, as I was watching Terminator 2 the other day with my folks on their new TV, and it's like, I'm like, yeah, well, that don't mean nothing because they're just going to come back again and again and again and again and again and again.
So
and again.
And then they'll kill off John Connor in like the first 10 minutes of a movie that's supposed to be a sequel to this one. So fuck all this.
Well, that's what he gets for wearing those jean shorts.
Yeah.
Jorts.
You wear jorts, you're gonna die.
You're a dude and you wear jorts, you will die.
Okay, now I want to look. We're gonna 80. Okay, so it's at 86% with 93,832 reviews. That hasn't. You're telling me there's 93,000 reviews and this score hasn't changed at all? It hasn't went up or down. And this
or
number
side to side,
front and back, side to side. This critics reviewed count has been at 471 forever. Like there's another 16,000 reviews here from the last time I actually looked up to, and that 86%, you're telling me it's in perfect balance to where though that score hasn't changed at all. I don't believe that for a goddamn second. I don't believe it. That audience score is going to be way lower than that. I'm sorry.
And this is where I have a problem with this movie right here. Now that we're finally at this point, okay, this is a movie that. Why do people like this movie? Is it just because fuck you, Ryan?
speeders?
Yep.
They have horses.
They're fucking horses. And then, no, they're not speeders. They're horses. He's like, what? And then you see these stupid ass space horses running. And I had somebody call me a dumb fucking incel because I said those are space horses. They're not space, and then they're fucking space horses. Somebody from the actual movie said something about them being space horses.
There's my third point right there. They called you an incel. Did people go see this because they know that the higher ups in the Fandom Menace don't like this movie, so therefore they must support because it's always about the argument, never about the battle itself?
Yep. I think that's another big part of it. Is that
if they don't like it, then it must be good. If it triggers them, it must be good.
Yep.
Okay. Got it.
And the piss babies.
That's it.
The piss babies.
And I'm not saying this movie ruined it didn't ruin my childhood because Palpatine died. The Emperor died in 1983. He's dead. This whole trilogy is just it's garbage. It's hollow. There's nothing to it. There's nothing positive to be derived from this entire trilogy, really. I mean, what? I heard a rumor the other day about a Disney Plus show with Lando and Jaina. Who asked for that?
That's a new one on me. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, I saw something about it the other day.
I wouldn't say that Rian Johnson ruined my childhood, but I would say that Kathleen Kennedy 100% ruined my childhood because she took this franchise that was always,
Yep.
Argue all you want, as much arguing as I've done defending prequels, because I still think there's a lot of good in those prequels.
I love the prequels.
Defending, and I've been arguing about those movies for years. Okay. I will admit they do have very obviously glaring problems in them. Okay,
But they never killed Star Wars.
they never
No.
killed Star Wars. They always felt like Star Wars. They always had a very clear, understandable story in place, and they were also, believe it or not, planned out. Okay, that universe was always handled with care, and then Disney approached this logo as a lifeless product that just needs to be designed by committee, and it did not really feel like designed by committee until after I saw The Last Jedi. Like, clearly you're just building this shit off of any dumb idea that you can come up with, and no thought or love is being put into these stories whatsoever. None. Like, even the, you don't like the sequel, the trilogy, cool, but even The Force Awakens, you can tell it was written and directed by a guy that at least likes Star Wars. Because it does, for the most part, it doesn't hold up well, because that was the other thing I didn't mention before, is after getting that on Blu-ray and watching it once or twice, didn't enjoy it as much on subsequent watchings. It's not a very rewatchable movie.
Mm-hmm.
It really isn't. I'd rather rewatch Rogue One than rewatch The Force Awakens, especially when you know that none of those threads go anywhere. Exciting.
Yeah.
That's the big bummer. It's like, well, they're not going to do nothing with any of this shit, so
Yeah, it just ends up being a mess, and that's all it was. It was just a hot mess.
It reminds me of like an RPG game that's got like a really shitty ending. That's what Star Wars feels like. It's an RPG game that started off good, but then just has a bunch of shitty endings no matter where it goes, and there's no point in playing it because you're gonna be bummed out by the time it ends. So that's why I didn't want to see Rise of Skywalker, because I'm not concerned where any of those characters' stories go, because those characters were not set up properly to begin with. I don't feel anything for them. How can I? I've not spent any time with them that matters.
Yep, the Last Jedi definitely cut any hope you had for that trilogy being salvageable, just cut the legs right out from under the whole trilogy. Like, it derailed everything.
Yeah. Why would you bring a stormtrooper in, that is a former stormtrooper into the rebellion, if you're not going to do anything with him? If you made him the central character, that would have worked. That was one of the things that never worked about the Phantom Menace, and they've talked about this ad nauseum. It's like, you think that the J.J. Abrams and them would have at least caught a clue. One of the reasons that people don't like the prequels is because there's no one. When you watch the original Star Wars, you followed Luke's journey. It was Luke's journey. Okay, the prequels, it's Anakin's journey, but then it's also Obi-Wan's journey, and then it's also
it's Palpatine's story, his rise to power.
Story. It's Padme's story.
Mace Windu's downfall.
There's too many things going on. You can't so if had you done introducing this new universe through the eyes of somebody that wants to defect, well, that would have been kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do that. It's like once this person shows up, they do the exact same problems that they did in the Phantom Menace. It's like, okay, you see Finn, and then when he meets Rey, now it's Rey's story, and then it's Rey through the whole fucking thing. It's like, well, what about Finn? Oh, well, he's just kind of there.
Yeah, and then he got turned into a bumbling idiot.
And they did nothing with that character, man. And they did nothing with Poe. So it's like, why am I supposed to feel stuff for people that I don't know anything about?
And that's never got his white woman, but you didn't even get the Asian girl because she's an idiot.
Yep. No, that was the thing with Poe too, man. You had that little thing with him and Zori Bliss, and then of course they didn't take that anywhere because they had to shut the patriarchy down. Can I have a kiss?
Right.
Of course not.
It's glaringly obvious that these characters were just there to tick check boxes.
Yep.
And they were not developed. And that's the part about Star Wars, Disney Star Wars, that depresses me the most. The fact that it's treated like the way everything else is treated. That we want that old money. We want that old money, but we want it to be designed for the new crowd.
Yeah.
And the new audience. And these are important messages that have to be in this movie. And this thing here has to happen to attract this demographic and this and this and this. So you have this grocery list of ideas that don't make for great storytelling.
Yeah, I'm gonna pop the screen share off for just a minute here. Yeah, that's the problem with this is they. Oh, I'm checking backstage there, seeing if Tony was in here because he just messaged me, so I thought he was backstage. No, you just it's all preached like it's all just blowhard garbage. Like your Last Jedi was full of nothing, but it was about feminism and income inequality and classism, and it's like I don't want to watch Star Wars for that. That's not why I watch Star Wars.
And from what I hear from I watched a lot of reviews of Rise of Skywalker, yours included. It reeks of desperation.
Oh, it was a cash grab.
It's acknowledgement. It's the closest thing you're ever going to get to an apology from Disney. This is it. This is all there is. It reeks of desperation. It's like, okay, we fucked up, so here's the movie that we think that you wanted. It's pandering. It's pandering to the same audience that it abandoned 2 movies ago.
And now, but then the access media, cries and says, "Oh, they catered to the alt-right and all this shit." It's like, alt-right,
and that's where Star Wars is not fun anymore. The Twitter mafia and the Tumblr mafia,
the Raylos. I'm telling you,
the Raylo shippers, all of that bullshit.
Those people are the most
murder. They made Star Wars for what it is. This is Star Wars made for the Big Bang Theory generation.
Yep.
Okay. I'm right. All right.
Yeah, it's true, but I just don't like hearing it. That's ear cancer right there.
It is. It's the absolute truth.
Stop violating my ears.
These people watched a couple episodes of the Big Bang Theory and they think they know everything there is to know about geek culture. Yep. It's like, no, the one thing they never showed you on the Big Bang Theory was how people were persecuted for years. Persecuted. Being a Star Wars fan. I don't know about you, Pete, but I'm old enough to remember when I was in my early mid-20s, going to the store in the middle of the night or going to the store before Star Wars midnight launches became a normal thing. For a dude in his early to mid-20s, going into a store and looking at toys was extremely uncool. You had to kind of hide I'm looking for this for my nephew or cousin or you had to hide that shit. And then sometimes you'd be in that aisle with somebody else that was exactly your age, and both of you guys are pulling the same bullshit fake out.
Yep.
It's you're looking for this shit for yourself, but it's not cool to admit that you like to collect toys. Now it's every asshole in his 30s has a giant Funko Pop collection. This is fucking stupid now.
That's what kills me. It's like you said about that Big Bang Theory shit. It's like, yep, you watched the Big Bang Theory, you went out and you bought a fucking Green Lantern t-shirt at Walmart, and then you bought a fucking $100 worth of Funko Pops, and now you're a fucking nerd. Get the fuck out of here.
No, you didn't go through the getting constantly made fun of in school. I still watched Star Trek: The Next Generation when I was in high school, and I had to be a closet Trekkie. I'm not kidding, man. I had to hide that.
I understand. Trust me.
It was not cool to tell people you like Star Trek. Even though fucking everybody was watching it, nobody admitted that they liked it. Everything was always it's just anybody was accused of a nerd for doing anything.
I was a fucking, I played sports all through school. So it was especially for me, football players, I'm going to go watch Star Wars or I'm going to go and watch fucking Dragon Ball Z. It's what the fuck did you just say? It's I had to just keep that shit to myself, But yeah, it did, man. It's I couldn't exactly
So they tried to make Star Wars the current generation of Star Wars for all them artificial nerds out there. That Big Bang Theory generation, man.
And they want to get all mad when we call them fake nerds.
You did not know the struggle. All right,
Mm-hmm.
You did not know the struggle.
Yep.
Now it's everybody you meet. It's oh, I was a total geek. I'm pretty sure you weren't.
Right now, you were probably awkward, but you weren't a geek.
Yep. That's what you just had to fucking Just how you had to hide it, man. That was
If you
it.
didn't get beat up in school or get ridiculed in public at school, then you weren't a fucking nerd. You didn't earn that street cred, if that even means anything. You know.
Hey, welcome to the show, Tony Tone Deaf. How you doing, brother?
Yo, good morning, everybody. I like to call them the Vin Diesel nerds because you got this 6-foot-something tall, jacked guy, bald, hot, getting pussy left and right, talking about he's a nerd. Like, come on, man.
You just described me.
Why does he just start playing Warhammer or something?
You just described me.
He's the same guy that has the Imperial logo tattooed on his arm right in between his fucking tribal barbed wire. You know?
Okay, I have no tattoos, though. I don't have any ink. But no, I understand what you're saying, dude. But it's funny because that's everybody's like, well, you're a fucking athlete and shit. Like, I was like, yeah, I was, because I had to fucking. I've always been like, I don't know. It's difficult to explain. Like being like, I was the guy like during football practice. It was like talking about South Park in between plays, and the coach was yelling at me because I was talking about cartoons and shit. Like I would go up to the line of scrimmage and start doing Cartman impressions to fuck with people. Like that would be me. You know, I don't know. You know, I was like. It was just something, you know, I don't know.
I look at it like this. If you haven't spent a couple nights lonely, crying by yourself because no one likes you, you weren't a true Star Wars fan, you know?
That's definitely done. Yeah.
Or getting excited because you went to the store and there's like a shitload of fucking Phantom Menace toys on clearance and you're buying absolutely fucking all of them like I did. Yeah.
Yep.
I dumped a fortune into those toys because as much as you can complain about that movie, they had some cool ass fucking toys.
I worked at Meijer when that movie came out, and so I would always like roll through the toy section.
Oh yeah, Meijer had a nice toy.
Oh dude, yes they did. Because my old department manager went from hardware to toys, so I would be like, hey Chris, set this aside for me. Hey Chris, set this aside for me. You know. So it was nice. I'm gonna pop back over to this screen share here.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, we gotta get through the article still.
So we're down to Revenge of the Sith at 80%. And I will say this: Revenge of the Sith is my third favorite Star Wars movie behind Empire. It goes Empire, A New Hope, and then Revenge of the Sith for me.
Of the prequels, I think that's the strongest one.
It is. It absolutely.
And you know what? For me, man, seriously, that for just that. Not just the fucking killer lightsaber fight and all the things, but that opening shot, that battle
over Coruscant.
Oh my god, that's like one of my favorite openings in any Star Wars movie. Just that whole thing. I'm like, wow, Lucas, you really you one-upped your blockade runner chase from A New Hope right here. You know, like I love that fucking scene.
Yep. That is the battle.
Great. It's like they fly through and then they go into the fucking ship and pop out of the ship and then they're in another lightsaber fight. I'm like, this is the Star Wars that I want.
And that's really the only time in the movies you get to see those ARC 170s.
Those things are badass.
That's the one I'm staring at right now.
And it was cool to see all the clones be like the camaraderie amongst the clone warriors and the Jedi, like they're working side by side. It's like they really embraced that. It felt like a war movie.
And that was the only time in the movie they really gave you any inclination of how close Anakin was with his clone troopers, because when the ARC 170 squad behind them got in trouble, he wanted to peel back and help them, and Obi-Wan says no, they have their job to do and we have ours, because in the show Anakin was very close to his unit of clones. So
that's one thing they never really mention in a lot of Star Wars movies, because even though it's called Star Wars, a lot of them don't really feel like war movies. You know what I mean? At least before Rogue One came out. So when Revenge of the Sith came out, there's a lot of war elements in there. I mean, you got stormtroopers with camouflage. I mean, that's awesome. You know, it feels like war. They're showing battles on other planets. You know, it's like there's definitely some Star Wars going on in this Star Wars movie.
The Battle of Kashyyyk is probably one of my favorites. And
I wish
they would have had more footage there. And
those scenes were great, and they're still great.
The planet where that CG holds up. That really does. That scene on Kashyyyk holds up perfectly. The Battle of Geonosis is another one. That one was just That's badass. That all those big ass tanks.
I prefer Kashyyyk to Geonosis because my problem with Geonosis is there's too much gray there for me to even take in what's going on in most of those scenes.
Yeah, that's the one problem. But yeah,
it's just a personal preference of mine.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
Yeah.
No, Kashyyyk is gorgeous. Utapau's another one. Utapau is great. Because that's where you get Commander Cody. And that is a really
Cody.
Cool, that is a really cool scene right there.
And also that scene with in the Phantom Menace where the clones attack not Coruscant, Naboo. You know, when they first come out of that big transport, and then you got all those
the battle droids.
The battle droids is what I meant to say. Yeah.
Yes.
When the battle droids come out and they're all marching in formation in a straight line forward,
yep.
I was getting that Revolutionary War vibe going on.
Yeah.
You know, and I really liked that aspect of it, you know. So
that was like Germany marching into Poland right there. I mean, it
was like old school warfare.
It was.
It was like just marching a straight line and going across the field and just, dropping right and left. I'm like, this is cool. Yeah.
So we got that, Revenge of the Sith 8. Solo, it's 70 now. We've all, Tony, have you watched Solo, right? You've seen this one or not?
Unfortunately.
This was, did you find this movie just like boring?
Oh my God.
It felt like two different stories stitched together, which is exactly what it was. So, I mean, it just didn't feel like Han Solo. So
they don't really flesh out either one of those stories either. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I say, and I've said this for a long time, they had already used Darth Maul in Star Wars Rebels. He's, before Disney was used in Clone Wars. I mean, his arc is kind of played out. I feel like Solo was a golden opportunity instead of Maul. Because if you're going to make a statement, stand by it. They should have had Snoke in the hologram at the end. And they could have done the Solo trilogy, even though no one really asked for it. But they could have kind of explained Snoke's backstory through there. And it would have given Han Solo and Snoke a history, which would have added more depth to Snoke eventually turning Ben to the dark side. And when I first saw that movie, that's the first thing that came to mind. And I mean, I've stuck by that since. I mean,
that's pretty cool. I never even thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That is pretty cool.
No, that would have worked. It would have definitely added something to it.
But the thing with
sorry.
But you have common sense. That's why. Unlike these other people. That's the problem. So you need to get out of here.
When we were doing our Snoke theories, I'm like, what if it's just a throwaway character that nobody cares about?
Bingo.
Lo and behold, bazinga. Yeah.
Yeah, there it was. Snoke was just, and then in Rise of Skywalker, in the very beginning of the movie, when you're on Exegol and they have that establishing shot, they show a barrel, like a Bacta tank full of Snoke clones.
Oh,
that's the problem, man. Instead of going from the original source material, which is what Mandalorian did, okay, they decided to reference themselves and make generic versions of things that look familiar, and then that's the whole sequel trilogy problem. Is that it's like that? It's like Rey is a watered down, a female watered down version of Luke Skywalker.
Yep.
You've got Kylo Ren, which is like the worst villain since anything. All right, just absolutely awful. He's low rent Darth Vader. Okay.
Skeletor to kick his ass.
Dude, what's the villain from Thundercats? Pretty sure he could.
Mumra.
Mumra would kick his ass. All right. And then you got Snoke, who is Dollar General version of Palpatine, like really bad.
Wearing a Hugh Hefner robe.
It's nothing that pisses me off more is when you waste Andy Serkis in a movie. Andy Serkis is fantastic. Of all the people, if you were going to have a villain that throwaway, you could have had him voiced by fucking Frank Welker or somebody for a lot less money. I'm just saying, Disney. Right?
Yeah. Ryan Johnson is sitting back going, your Snoke theory sucks.
We can laugh about this now because we fucking earned it, but all the stupid shit that they've done behind the scenes with these fucking movies, man. That, the Force is female picture.
Oh, God.
I can never get that. I can never unsee that.
Yeah.
And no matter what it really stands for, just looking at that represents so much that's wrong with everything that's going on.
Absolutely.
Like everything is a fucking statement. It's in politics, and it can't just be fun anymore, you know. And that's why I got a little frustrated watching that season of The Mandalorian. I'm like, well, this is the kind of stuff that I was hoping they would do a long time ago. Why didn't they do this? They borrowed from the original source material. By source material, I mean stuff like, you know, the Seven Samurai and Westerns and old Flash Gordon serials. Those things they borrowed from the stuff that made actual Star Wars to begin with. And you get a decent product. That's what I wanted them to do, not borrow from themselves, borrow from the original stuff and give us some new stuff. You know, I wasn't against the idea of having new characters, but give them some kind of an identity. Don't just make them all generic placeholders from things that look familiar.
Yeah, I'm not against the idea of new characters, but I am against the idea of them being dumb.
Exactly.
I mean, which is basically what we got. I mean,
that's what it is. Yeah,
it is. You know, like Zori. Okay, so Carrie Russell is her name, and I have no problem with Carrie Russell. She's absolutely beautiful woman. Seems to be she's a good actress. And
she was Felicity.
Felicity, one of my.
She's in a space helmet the whole time, isn't she?
She opens her visor like twice, maybe, and that's it. She never takes her helmet off.
Well, how about Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones? What the fuck was that all about?
Oh well, yeah. Don't even get me started on Phasma. That's you want a strong female character. You've got one right there.
That character was designed to sell Boba Fett figures. That was the generic placeholder for Boba Fett.
Yep, and you have a woman like Gwendolyn Christie who played a badass in Game of Thrones until the end when she was just whining because I don't know. We're not going to talk about Game of Thrones. I didn't watch Game of Thrones, but I do know like where her arc went, what happened to her just from watching. Like,
but I mean, that's what I'm saying is if you're going to have such an insignificant role, you know,
why pay an A-list actress
to just voice? You could have just brought them in a studio and just had them voice the character. You didn't have to have them put the fucking costume on and be in the movie if you're going to waste them that much. It's kind of like when when Samuel L. Jackson went to Luke and said, "Dude, I don't have to say anything. I'll put a stormtrooper helmet on. I just want to be in this movie so bad."
Yeah.
And he looked at him and he gave him a significant role.
Yep.
Disney's like, okay, we'll put the stormtrooper mask on you and let you be in the background, Daniel Craig.
And Ed Sheeran.
You know?
Well, I gotta admit though, at least I like Tom Hardy's Stormtrooper cameo. It was funny, but it seemed like it was out of place. Like,
which one was he?
He was in the Last Jedi, but his scene was cut where they were in an elevator scene, and he's talking to him. He's like, he recognizes him. He's like, "Oh, I see you're big in the big leagues," and he gives him a little smack on the ass and everything.
Oh Jesus!
Because it's actually kind of funny, but out of context. You know what I mean? Yeah. If it was like a skit or something, it'd be funny. Yeah.
Speaking of that, in the Rise of Skywalker, there's a dumb stormtrooper scene like that. When the Knights of Ren are walking onto, I believe it's Kylo's Star Destroyer in the end of the movie, they walk by two stormtroopers, and the two stormtroopers are like, the one's like, "Oh, the Knights of Ren," the other one's like, "Cool." It's like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious? Like.
And see, that's where it's breaking character for me.
You're not going to see like a bunch of Navy SEALs walk by, you know, some regular sailors, and the sailors are like, "Oh, Navy SEALs, cool." You know, like what the fuck? Like what the?
Like, oh, it's those bitches.
For somebody who's been around a bunch of Navy SEALs, I'll tell you, we did not. Actual Navy SEAls are people you don't want to have conversations with.
Yeah, I was going to say
most of them are fucking adrenaline junkie psychos.
Right? That's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's a different breed of human being.
The Navy version of like bro fists. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like seriously, they're just like a bunch of jocks.
And all respect to those guys because they do this shit that nobody else can fucking do, barely.
But trust me, dude, most of them really get off on it. Okay?
Oh, I'm sure that I'm
not dogging the fucking SEALs because I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran. I've earned the right to fucking say that shit. They get off on what they do. They are all adrenaline junkies because SEALs is voluntary. Nobody is forced into that.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I've watched. You know, I'm not.
It's a prestige thing.
Yeah, that's it, man. You're like, I've never been enlisted. Like I said, I grew up in a house with a freaking Marine, so I've been abused. I've been abused by a Marine.
But as stormtroopers, wouldn't they technically kind of like talk shit a little? Like, "Oh, look, it's these assholes."
Yeah,
I'm not saying that, like they're hating on them, but they wouldn't really say, "Oh, they wouldn't beat all of." They just like, "Look at these assholes coming here." And whatever. That's what I was thinking, getting at, trying to get at.
professional rivalry. Like, say,
Yeah, that's what.
yeah, like in Michigan, you have like your sheriff's departments are always like have a little, and my two of my cousins are sheriffs, and it's like they always have a little chip on their shoulder sometimes compared to like the state troopers. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
but it's like it would be. That's what I would say. It would be like the stormtroopers and the Knights of Ren. Now, with that being said, the Knights of Ren in that movie were absolutely fucking just trash. They were wasted. They did nothing with them. They made a couple cameos and they really did nothing. They did absolutely jack shit. It's like,
But they standed real cool, right, on those rocks.
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to be in a music video.
Yep, that's what I said. I'm gonna edit some fucking like 80s arena rock over that scene. But yeah,
That song, what's that song from Highlander, The Princes of the Universe? Use that one.
There's something else I want to mention, Pete. Back to the Raylo shippers again. Where does this whole, affair between the villain and the hero, where does that fall in a movie that's made for kid about space wizards?
Yeah, I that's what I'm wondering too. It's like if we're not allowed to critique this because it's for kids, then why is your main protagonist and your main antagonist involved in a romantic relationship? This isn't exactly a Romeo and Juliet, and well, let's be honest, Romeo and Juliet wasn't for kids. So
no, it wasn't. Yeah, that's why I didn't really like Attack of the Clones, because that relationship, that was rough. Man.
That was the one problem I had with that movie. But there was so much other cool shit. Like, you got to see Kamino, and you can see where all the clones come from, and you get that badass fight between Obi-Wan and Jango Fett. You get all the Count Dooku. You can see, because Count Dooku is my favorite character, and you get all of that. So much of him in that, and it's because it's Christopher Lee, and Christopher Lee is just, the man was amazing.
Have you heard his metal album?
that hammer. So did you do that with Peter Cushing?
Yep. Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen might have looked good on screen, but they had no chemistry.
No.
Whatsoever. It was the most forced, awkward relationship in history, man.
Yeah, it was bad. That was the bad in that movie. There was a lot of good, but there was definitely the bad was their dialogue.
And that kind of stems from them deciding to have Anakin be a kid in the first movie, whereas I think they should have had him be like, if you wanted to have Hayden Christensen, you should have just started with that.
Yep.
And had a teenage relationship eventually grow into an adult relationship. I think it would have worked better if you would have stretched that out over 2 movies instead of force it into one.
Yeah, that was kind of messed up.
Only because I'm so in love with you.
Yeah.
We can keep it a secret.
We can fix it up. We can fix it up. Fix up the baby's room. Oh, shut the fuck up.
I know they're talking about that. I want to have the baby back on them. I'm like, no, we're not gonna. You're really making baby plans with this dude. He's getting ready to go to war. Like, come on, man. Interior decorating. This motherfucker.
He's too busy worried about his Jedi status right now.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a damn master, but I'm on the council. Damn it.
Yeah, we grant you a seat in this council, but we do not grant you the rank.
It's like the equivalent of him coming from home frustrated and cracking a beer. I didn't get that promotion again. Damn it, sorry, honey.
Like, I'm an assistant manager still. Damn it.
I'm still assistant to the regional manager.
People fear me.
I'm the assistant regional manager. No, you're the assistant to the regional manager. Well, that's the same thing. No, it's not. Not at all. It's not even close.
Oh God! Wouldn't it be great to have Kathleen Kennedy's job? Just like get paid to do literally nothing, just fail constantly and still get promoted. Oh,
I wonder if she like instinctively goes and gets Bob Iger coffee ever.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, dude.
Just out of fucking habit.
Like, he's like, I'm in the mood for a coffee. She starts getting up and like, what are you doing? Oh, sorry.
2 green sugar, right, Bob?
That is the person that ruined Star Wars for me. It's not Rian Johnson.
No,
it's definitely KK, because all of this stuff was done by her design, and there's absolutely no thought or love put into any of these products that she created. They're just all lifeless, fucking soulless products. I mean, I realize that all these things need to be made to make money. I understand that. I'm not stupid, but you have to have
the creativity,
some kind of a vision. You know what I mean? Like you want to see this go somewhere. And as much as I hate to admit it, Rian Johnson at least had a vision. It wasn't very good at all. Okay, but he at least wanted to try something different, and they entrusted him with this, but there was no outline in place, so he made the movie with all that he had left.
The thing is, it's not time to try something different when you're in the middle of a sentence. You know what I mean? Like there,
right. You're at the second to the last movie of a fucking saga. You don't start experimenting now. You don't. Now you have to follow the formula at this point. We want to see where it's going to end, and we've been used to some certain beats. And I'm not saying everything had to be. They got too concerned with they it's like, even though The Force Awakens made billions of dollars, you could tell they were visually upset by, it's just a retread of the old movie. Yeah, but people still went to go see it. Yeah, nobody was mad about it. People went back to go see it multiple times.
I remember specifically thinking, like, okay, this isn't the best Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, but it's their first step out at it. It's their first go around. And for a first attempt, it wasn't horrible. They played it safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was played safe, and at the time I was fine with that. They wanted to take it back to basics. It was almost like a soft reboot.
Yeah. I mean, I remember first hearing the news about Disney buying Star Wars, and you'll have to excuse me because I am kind of retarded, but I was just envisioning Luke Skywalker and a new Jedi Academy and new planets, and just one thing I can say for the prequels, they did do their own thing. I mean, they had callbacks to the original trilogy, and there might even be some continuity issues, but they felt like their own product, their own story. They didn't have to bring in another Death Star. They didn't have to constantly reference the past. I mean, they could.
But they still made a little cameo though, with those plans, and that was it.
Yeah,
they didn't have to rely on the super weapon.
Exactly, that was just a cool little visual. The plot wasn't reliant upon it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, what it turned out to be is just so disappointing. I had so much hopes for this in 2012, 2013.
Yeah, it took a while to convince me, but once I finally got on board, I'm like, okay, well, let's see what you got. I didn't hate Disney at the time. I really didn't. I knew they were always a greedy company, but I didn't realize that they were going to mishandle it this bad.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought there would be a day where I'd say, I don't want to see a Star Wars movie. And yet here we are. And I voluntarily sat out 2 of them. I watched Solo on Netflix. I've never been more bored watching a Star Wars movie in my entire life.
It just goes back
to
a
dull piece of shit to spend, what was it, $160 million on? What a dull piece of shit that was.
I fast forward through some of it because I got bored. Yeah.
Oh my god! I think I watched it with Jeff when they were doing the watch party for it. I was like, all right, fine. I think I watched it once, and then I watched it again on the watch party. I've only seen it twice, and that's 2 times too many.
You talking about Solo?
Solo, yeah.
Oh God!
Twice on Netflix, and because I did not go see it, I refused to buy it. I don't buy the new Star Wars anymore because it's just a logo now. It's not. There's no soul or heart to it. You can feel the absence of George Lucas. That's it. You can feel the absence, and I'm glad The Mandalorian is as good as it is, knowing that Lucas is not there, but the people that are working on that show clearly love Star Wars.
Yeah, it's Filoni and Favreau.
Clearly get where the
Filoni.
they get what makes Star Wars work, and they're like really? I said, they're borrowing from the things that made Star Wars instead of borrowing from the previous movies.
Yep.
Dave Filoni should have been the head of creative since day one.
Oh, yes, he should have.
Or Favreau. I'd throw his hat in the ring, too. Either one of those guys.
He's in the running for, I think, Kennedy's job after they get rid of her.
Well, if they do, I think it'll give a lot of us some hope.
I do, too. She needs to go.
I mean, I have no expectations for Star Wars anymore, so it would just take to knowing that somebody is going to make something interesting to get me to look at it again. You know,
I sat back with my wife to watch the Indiana Jones trilogy yesterday,
Nice.
and Temple of Doom comes on, and she's ruined the beginning of that because it's the first time I've watched it since I found out Kathleen Kennedy is in the beginning of that movie.
Now you
Yep.
can't unsee it. Yeah.
And I'm fucking looking for, like, you've even ruined Indiana Jones for, like,
Oh, that's next. Yeah, Indy 5 is going to be dumpster fire.
I
for sure.
still haven't seen the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Me either. I haven't watched the
Don't
whole
work.
thing.
It's
You'll
not
be all
very-
right.
It's not very good.
I mean,
saw
I'm
the
with
last-
I'm in that camp of like where I think Jeff is in, where even though it's probably gonna suck, the toys will come back because I did like enjoy buying the Legos for Indiana Jones because I
Good
still have
point.
some of them. Yeah.
They had some 3 3/4 inch action figures that came out after that as well that I jumped on because they didn't just have figures for the Crystal Skull. They had figures for Raiders and figures for Temple of Doom and stuff like that. So yeah, they bring those back. Because there's a couple of characters I wouldn't mind having.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
No, they don't.
Sucks.
Yeah, and I got mixed opinions about what Spielberg would do for that franchise because he was involved with the Crystal Skull, and it's not good. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not as bad as like say something like The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker, but it's I'm worried, and also Harrison Ford is getting way too old to be playing that part.
Yep.
Yep.
And grizzled. No.
I think his that Call of the Wild movie is like it's Star Wars was a fever dream, and he was actually living the Call of the Wild movie this whole time.
Yeah, dude, that there's a movie that looks rough. Whoa.
Yeah.
They got a fucking dog with like human facial expressions. It's really creepy.
That's what I said. I was like, this. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
I don't. Back to the article.
Yeah. So we're at Attack of the Clones is at 65%. That one is, like I said, that's we've talked about that. We've talked about Phantom Menace. That's 53%. And coming in dead last, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, have you guys read or watched any of the videos that Rob Meyer Burnett has done about the Duel of the Fates script that he came in possession of?
They're in my queue. I just haven't watched them yet.
Okay, that is actually, I mean, it's different because, like he says, he goes into detail about Rose Tico has a much bigger part in that. A lot of things are different, and the whole thing that really derailed that movie being made was Carrie Fisher's death.
Yeah, I can see that. It sounds to me the little bits of that I've heard that Rise of Skywalker is another solo where somebody had to go in and pretty much reshoot 50% of a movie again.
Which is what they did with Rogue One as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they don't know how to make this stuff. It's like I'm not really even all that upset that Star Wars is being reduced to a TV show. It's like at least if it has a good pace and a good story and a good setup, and it's not treating its audiences like they're retarded, like these movies did. Fine.
Fine.
I'd rather have one good TV show than more bad movies. Because I'm spent when it comes to the bad Star Wars movies. I'm spent. I can't take it anymore. I just can't. I'd rather not, because first of all, this isn't real Star Wars anyway. It's not. It doesn't have the same heart. It doesn't have any heart or soul to it. So why bother? It's like the Fandom Menace has been beaten down by Star Wars. They really have. You got nothing to do with us being misogynist. It's us constantly being chewed out for making any kind of questions or complaints about what doesn't work.
That's it. That's it. It's like you can't. So you're not allowed to question any decisions that they make creatively because it's for kids. That's the built-in excuse, because it's for kids.
Now the good part about this is this. I think a lot of this too. These reviews might be people getting tired of being called shills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this time they thought, well, there's not going to be any more movies this time, which means there's not going to be any more events. So now we'll just say, yeah, fuck Disney Star Wars, because there's no more red carpet premieres to go to. So there's nothing to lose here. Now they'll just let out how they really feel.
I think that's what they did, because they just took a big shit on this movie.
Yeah, they did.
Well, what is Disney?
And not just the regular shit, that diarrhea runny kind of shit.
This is like the post Chipotle shit.
The Hershey squirts, yeah.
I'd say.
Oh God, I'm thinking about glitter again.
So let's see. It says, again, this is just critics. The audience score for the film has gone up by 1% and is wildly different from the critics score at 86%. And this whoever wrote this article, this person's a moron, because they don't even just question the fact that this number has risen by 20,000 and this number hasn't moved at all. So Rotten Tomatoes is, like I said, the president of Fandango worked for Disney for 12 years. Fandango owns Rotten Tomatoes. We've talked about this ad nauseum with the Captain Marvel ticket buying bullshit. I mean, it's ridiculous that you can't even be honest with yourself if you make a movie that's subpar. The critics shit on it. You're like, oh, we have to go into defense mode. You put the walls up and, fortify the kingdom of fucking Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, to, try to deflect it. Well, look, the audience score is still 86%. Well, that's because you're getting rid of reviews and you're putting bot reviews in there or something, because there's no way that number stays the same. There's no fucking way, because there hasn't been any more critic reviews. That 471 number, the critics are basically done shitting on that.
Yeah, they're moving on from it. They don't want to think about it anymore. Yeah.
And the audience is still coming in with reviews, because that's what people do. They watch the movie, they want to go on Rotten Tomatoes and review it. So that number is going to fluctuate. I'm not saying it might not stay in the 80s, but I don't think it's going to stay at exactly 86%.
Not Tap, you didn't actually go to a theater to watch Rise of Skywalker. And did you go see it, Tony?
No.
Okay, because I didn't go, because I don't want to have another headache when I leave the movie theater.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I left The Last Jedi and I told myself that's it as far as going to see Star Wars movies in the theater, and I'm
same, yeah. Because
Force Awakens was the last one for me.
My head was fucking killing me when I left that theater, and I don't get migraines, but I think it's just I was so frustrated with the movie that I didn't, and I was at conflict with myself, trying to convince myself that what I watched wasn't just awful.
My wife looked at me around the time Raya was leaving Octo 2. She had knocked Luke Skywalker down, and I was visually disturbed. I mean, my wife looked at me. I didn't even say anything, and she was like, "Are you okay? Like, do you need to step out?" I just couldn't believe what was unfolding in front of my eyes. And again, this is the one guy who actually had a vision for the future of Star Wars. So
yeah, they gave the guy complete creative control, and he just made his own movie in the middle of a fucking franchise. You can't do that kind of stuff.
He slapped some strawberry jelly on that ham sandwich.
Now, if he would have, what they should have done with Ryan,
that was a great one.
They should have given him one of the Star Wars story movies and not the fucking sequel trilogy.
They should have just given him Solo.
Yeah, he would have probably done fine, because Solo was a mess no matter who was going to direct it. So if they would have just
the only thing good I could say about Solo is the whole, was it the battle, that trench warfare? It looked good, but that was it. Like, because some people were comparing it to the closest thing they had to a Warhammer film. But I was like, and I understand that because I know a little bit about that. But other than that, that movie, get the hell away from me. It's so shitty.
I would love a Warhammer film, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
40K.
Space Marines, Imperial Guard.
Did we really need to see Han and Chewie showering together?
No, we didn't.
Yes, apparently we did.
I mean,
now we understand the relationship more deeper. More depth to it.
A fucking space worm vampire that lives in a glass house underground. I mean, what?
Also, what's Alden Ehrenreich been up to lately? Is he getting any callbacks?
He's about to get kidnapped by the bullshitters. If you read the comic,
yeah. If you've read Stealing Solo, Alden Peckerwood better watch his back. Fucking, oh my God. So I'll share this meme with you guys because I'm not going to put it on the screen or anything because I just made a really cool. I saw this article. We were talking last night about Robert Downey Jr. A little bit off topic here for a second. Robert Downey Jr. Being called out for quote unquote blackface in Tropic Thunder. And I brought this up last night and I just made a meme out of it. Has everybody forgot Ted Danson was dating Whoopi Goldberg and he came to an award show in blackface with full vaudevillian white lips, blackface and a fucking top hat on? Has everybody forgotten that about old Ted Danson because he's on what is that show now, The Good Place?
I didn't even know about that one because probably too young for that.
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Yeah, I didn't know about that either.
Remembers.
I think he's blowing the right people, so it's okay. He gets the pass,
I mean, the only thing I know if he was in that movie with Whoopi Goldberg and Nia Long, where he had a black kid or whatever. His daughter was black, and I knew of that movie. That's all I knew about them.
Yep,
they know about him going blackface.
They actually dated for a short period of time, and I
must have lost a bet.
I think so too. I'm not sure which one of them did, him or her though. But yeah,
Didn't Goldberg dump Ted Danson for a dinosaur though, or have an affair with him for a dinosaur?
Probably.
Theodore Rex,
like a T-Rex or something.
Yeah, Theodore Rex. Yeah,
had short arms.
Yeah,
there you go. I just sent you guys all the picture. I haven't really shared. I did share it in the IndieWire comment section, just to rattle those little shits up.
Yeah, right.
I can't help myself sometimes. But no, so let's see here. Where are we at in this? Like I've said in other articles like this before, I don't think this placement is deserved, as in my mind, there's no way you can rate Rise of Skywalker below the prequel trilogy with a straight face. That right there lets me know this guy has no basis of comparison for Star Wars. This guy's a sequel trilogy defender. If you're gonna sit there,
it's Forbes, dude. Forbes. I'm honestly surprised this wasn't written by Scott Mendelson. But like I said before, I think that Mendelson was like, "No, you don't understand. My reputation is at stake. I can't write anything about Star Wars right now."
Yeah, he's afraid. Scotty's afraid.
He's very afraid.
Let's see. There's no way I can. Let's see. I'm kind of shaky now. I'm now kind of shaky on my earlier statement that it was my favorite of the new trilogy. Wow.
Walking it back awfully soon, are we?
But fundamentally, I think the critics are off base here to a certain degree.
This movie only came out like a month ago now?
Yeah. Wow.
This is why you should never listen to fucking critics. And this is coming from an actual critic himself. Never fucking listen to this. If you're interested in a movie, if you like the trailers, then go fucking see it and have a good time. Don't listen to me. But if you want to know my opinions, sure, I'll let you know.
And that's the thing about us is we're unpaid critics, so we have no reason to lie.
Nope. I critique movies because I like talking about movies. That's it.
Ain't nobody paying.
Wait, you guys aren't being paid?
Yeah.
No,
I guess I'm better.
No, bro. No.
Ain't nobody paying me to watch Batwoman. That's a goddamn.
I was getting these checks all this time. I've been getting all these checks in the mail saying, "Hey, talk more shit." I'm like, okay.
See, Chap, I do the movie pass so that way if I see something like Doolittle and it's fucking terrible, I'm not mad that I wasted fucking, I wasted $15 on this ticket. It's like I'm paying a flat rate monthly fee. I'll see it. It sucked. I saw it. I'm not out anything. The movie didn't rob me of anything other than time.
Mm-hmm. So. Bet he's missing Iron Man though now.
But I like voluntarily watch stuff like Magic Christmas Tree. So I'm pretty much accustomed to a good amount of self-abuse already.
Yep. The goddamn Magic Christmas Tree.
Sorry, I keep bringing that up. But you know how much that one triggers you.
It doesn't trigger. It's just disturbing. That movie is just disturbing.
And then we all voluntarily watched Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus. Realized that movie is not aged well at all.
Oh God,
that was a slog to get through. I used to like it, but then I realized I used to drink a lot too. So.
Yeah, Lorenzo Lamas is not good in that movie.
Yeah, when you watch those kind of movies and you're shit faced, they're great.
Yeah, I was a little bit inebriated when I was watching it the other day. That's the one I watched that one first. I got to get on our movies for this Friday. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to start with Frank and Hooker, I think.
Yeah.
That name.
That's not funny. I've seen a couple of those in Canada. They usually hang out outside the cheetah. What does seem to be clear is that Disney is wise to take a break from constant Star Wars films for a little while. They're releasing their next one in 2022, so it's really not that big of a break.
No, they're giving you the illusion that it's a while. It's really not. Yeah.
Yeah. To take a break from constant Star Wars films for a little while, lest they fully exhaust fans. Disney Plus with experimental shows like The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, and the Cassian Andor series, which Obi-Wan is having some production troubles right now. We talked about that last night.
Dude, is Cassian Andor still happening?
I fucking hope
Apparently.
not. Nobody wants that. Oh, the only reason anybody wants it is because Alan Tudyk's in it. And
Yeah.
K2SO is like one of the best characters.
Yeah, if he reprises his role, well, then just call it fucking K2SO. Nobody cares about him.
Mm-hmm. Early days.
I would rather see K2SO's journey to sentience, and his redemption story than Cassian Andor.
Now, Cassian Andor is not an interesting character, but he still has more of an arc than Finn or Poe because he has that whole thing with the assassination that he can't carry through. So at least he had some kind of an arc. But he was a pretty boring throwaway character. But I can say that for pretty much other than everybody outside of Alan Tudyk for that movie.
Even what's her name? Jyn Erso wasn't that great of a character.
They gave her a story though that made sense.
They did give her an arc, which
they did flesh her story out at least.
I'm not that sold on Felicity.
She had more of a convincing story than Rey.
Oh, by far and away she did, because she was actually, like I said, a fleshed out character.
Yep.
Rey was just, I'm Rey. I'm better than everybody.
Rey was a Mary Sue placeholder.
I'm a Skywalker. Even though I'm a Palpatine, I'm a Skywalker. So does Rey have that Palpatine white privilege?
Yeah.
Does she have that Palpatine privilege? Is that what it is?
That's why she can't die. That's why she's so invisible, because he didn't die.
If you really wanted to be progressive, if you wanted to be progressive and then also have a good story, you should have made Finn the main character.
That's what makes
you should have had him have conflict. Like Finn would have been like a Manchurian Candidate type character, where his social programming and what he wants to do are constantly in conflict with each other.
Well, that's if they were truly as
kind of like what you did with the Winter Soldier. That's what they should have done with Finn. They should have made Finn the Winter Soldier of Star Wars. That would have fucking
Zoolander.
Yeah,
Zoolander.
Zoolander was the Winter Soldier before Winter Soldier.
Every time they play Relax, Finn tries to kill Leia. Relax.
Go through it when you want to go through it.
But something like that where they could trigger him to want to assassinate one of them, and then there would have been that conflict, and that would have been fucking epic. Something that Star Wars hadn't done before.
But yeah, that's that. If they were truly as progressive as they claim to be, they would have done that. But that's what lets you know it's all virtue signaling bullshit, because they didn't do that. They just ignored it, and they went with who? They went with the white lady, Rey.
While we're reimagining characters, the first time I watched through The Force Awakens in the theater, General Hux played a great dictator before they turned him into a joke. When he was on the he was screaming at the forces.
I was just thinking that, like, he had that fucking like that Mussolini Nazi vibe going on, and I was buying it. I kind of liked that movie. That movie gave me a little bit of a chill when I saw that scene right there. They had all those stormtroopers, and he's giving the big pep rally speech, and they got the flags hanging. I'm like, okay, this is very on the nose Nazi Germany, but the stormtroopers and the Imperials always were, so it works.
Yep.
Too bad we don't understand what this New Order is, or First Order, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, but we kind of got it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they really went heavy with the symbolism and they made Hux look, strong, and then they just ruined him in The Last Jedi. Made him
they did. There's another wasted actor too, because like I said, Donald Gleason was and fucking Oscar Isaac were both in Ex Machina, which is an amazing fucking movie. You want to see those guys not be a bunch of stupid characters in a science fiction movie, just watch Ex Machina. It's on Netflix. Yeah.
I want to check that out.
Yeah. I haven't seen The Irishman. I just started watching that last night. Got about an hour and a half into it after the show. And then had to pass out, but it's a good movie so far. I've had that on the list for a while now.
Yeah, that movie is very good.
It's gonna get some awards. Awards this year for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, and it should. But I think this Star Wars movie could win some Razzies. That's for sure.
It's possible.
I'm gonna end this screen
But
share here.
It's gonna probably have to fight with Doolittle as far as go.
And let's be honest. You know Charlie's
Dude,
Angels.
that movie beat me down. It beat me the fuck down.
Was it as bad as Black Christmas?
No,
Like,
it was not
okay.
as bad as Black Christmas, but it's already on my fucking turkey list this year. You know what I mean? Because it's beaten down by how stupid it is. It just like insultingly talks down to its audience. Like they have complete like no attention span at all whatsoever. That movie. Wow. I've been beaten.
As a sound engineer, I just could imagine spending hours and hours and getting intimately involved with the dialogue and scenes, having to edit that movie together. And I mean, at least you only had to sit through it, but imagine having to edit that movie or produce it and just sit through it 100 times.
That's the thing, Tony. When you watch this movie, there was no editing involved whatsoever. It's like they didn't even proofread the scenes. There are characters that show up in that movie, and then we never fucking see them again. Like, oh well, there was no payoff for that. Like they get a boat at one point, and there's a guy that's just stuck on the boat, like he's like a prisoner or something. And then we never see him again. I'm like, oh, well, that guy's not there. And then there's scenes where you see one of the animals in the water one moment and then dry and on the land in the very next fucking scene. Like it's, I didn't even catch that shit. I double toasted, went back and saw it a second time, and they said it was worse the second time than it was the first time. I can't even fucking imagine sit through that ever. I don't want to do it. I just don't. That's one where I got up and took a potty break, and I texted everybody. I'm like, this movie is canceled. I don't usually do that unless I'm really fucking annoyed. You know.
Have you seen Evolution with David Duchovny?
Yes, I have seen that movie. I don't like it at all.
I was gonna say, when I heard the end of Dr. Dolittle, it kind of reminded me of the end of Evolution. You know. In
Evolution, humor like that fits, at least.
Yeah.
In this, it's like, this is a very made for little kids movie.
Yeah.
And the ending is literally a 5-minute long fart joke. You've seen the trailer for Dolittle, right? It's got like this like real whimsical thing, like it's going to change your life. That's not the movie at all. It's just not what it was advertised. No, this is Fart Joke City. Yeah.
So it's Ghostbusters.
Fart jokes and bad pop culture references.
So it's really Ghostbusters 2016, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. It's that, but it's not quite as preachy as that movie is.
Yeah.
So there's nothing like. That's why Pete said, "Is it worse than Black Christmas?" No, because there's not that in it. There's nothing like. There's none of those like identity politics in it. It's just a very poorly written script. From start to finish.
I wonder how much they got paid to write that script.
Oh my god, dude! I'm thinking, okay, so you spent 175 million on this movie. Clearly, 174 of it went to Robert Downey Jr. because the rest of the movie, that's what it looks like. It's like you spent maybe $1 million, and this is the best you can come up with. Ugh, beaten down, dude. Fuck that movie. God. It's too early. It's too early in the year to be having movies this bad.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I was thinking with Jumanji, I mean, maybe they should have, but I looked forward. I see some new Trolls movies coming out Easter weekend, but I was thinking maybe save Doolittle for Easter weekend, so at least, you know.
No. Doolittle needed to go back in the vault and be forgotten about.
Yeah, it needed to come out at a bad time and just...
That's why they dumped it in Dumpuary. You know?
Yeah.
Hoping they could cash in on an audience with literally nothing better to do. But even that, you're better off just staying home. What the fuck is on the screen?
That's from Coach Loudy.
Oh my god, that's great. There's the fucking check marks right there.
Shit.
Let's see here. Let's take a closer look. Yeah,
fucking flags.
Right.
Loudy, where did you find this, dude?
Look at them. They all have their hipster beards and their
Yeah.
glasses. There's
Am I
Zoe.
am I the only one standing at salute?
Look at look at Kylo. He's got a familiar hairdo over there. I love Finn and Poe.
Oh my god. Everybody's got them fucking soy glasses on. Jesus Christ.
That is fucking great.
Poe almost looks like a knockoff Obi-Wan.
He does. There's Dollar General Obi-Wan. Oh God, that's great.
That's funny, dude.
I had to share that. There you go. Because Coach Loudy sent that to me this morning, so I was like, I will share that.
You know what I'm thinking now that I'm pausing to reflect, because we're talking about how this whole this fucking culture war is coming to an end. I know it is, just by the fact that Joker has 11 Oscar nominations, and this shit is coming to an end. It's not important who wins the culture war. It's just important that the war fucking stops, so that we can have some decent entertainment. Because I do believe at the end of last year, we got some good movies.
We got better movies at the end of the year than we did the entire course of the year.
Good movies. It made me excited. It gave me hope. Okay, there's some movies that are coming out this year that look like they're going to be pretty good too. Towards the end of the year is usually when the better ones come out. So for every Doolittle, there'll probably be like another Ford versus Ferrari or another Irishman or Joker, hopefully, But I was going somewhere with this and I lost my train of thought because I got distracted.
It's just the culture war's coming to an end.
It's coming to an end, but I think where it crescendoed was Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like it started it with Ghostbusters that pissed everybody off. And then when it finally got to Star Wars, that was one that just should have been left alone. Because you had a built-in audience for that movie that appealed to everyone. And then you wanted to make it about, well, it has to appeal to this one specific group over here of people that just exist to look at things on Twitter to bitch about.
Yeah.
You don't do that with Star Wars, man. Don't do it. I mean, I'm sorry. The purple hair lady in The Last Jedi is way too on the nose to be a galaxy far, far away.
I heard someone compare it to that crazy guy outside of the corner store just screaming, except now we have the internet and you can jump onto Twitter and find 1,000 crazy guys like that, just like you, to go around and scream about everything. And you don't see a face to associate it. So these companies are just trying to go with who's the loudest. And it really takes a little bit of common sense, and they could avoid some of these situations. I mean, customer feedback is crucial, but it shouldn't be everything.
But I think the general public is just bored with this constant discussion. And because you see those movies that were put into place in 2015 that went into production and have been coming out for the last year or so here, nobody's fucking going to go see them. Nobody's seeing them. They're bombing at the box office. This war's over, man. It's done.
Yeah. And it's bombing when the economy is actually, doing pretty well too. And the
economy's doing better, and people have based on the box office reports that Pete reads every single week, tells me that people like movies with actors, with good stories, made old school Hollywood style, not with over reliance on CG, just good written stories with good performances in them. Those are the ones that people are flocking to the theaters to go see. Don't nobody give a fuck about the cars in Ford versus Ferrari. They went to go see Matt Damon and Christian Bale crush those roles.
Yeah.
You can't tell me there's that many people that are interested in the Le Mans race, okay? I won't buy it, all right? I know there's a lot of diehard, racing fans out there, but people went to that movie to see a feel-good movie that had good performances in it.
Adam Carolla's been talking about Le Mans for years. He's probably summarized that entire movie years before it came out. And so if people were interested in that, they would have been tuning in then,
Yeah.
Just considering the size of his audience. So, that's what people want. I mean, and it kind of was the same thing that happened to professional wrestling. I mean, all it takes is some good storytelling to hook an audience in, and it just seems like all these entertainment whether it's Hollywood, wrestling, I mean, even video games to a certain extent, they're I don't know, they've just become really mediocre, bad storytelling. And I don't know what happened to that. I don't know if they're afraid to take risks or if people just forgot the
They
fundamentals.
definitely need to take more risks for sure. That's one thing that does need to be improved. But the culture war itself, the tides are shifting. This you're not going to guilt trip people into seeing a movie because it makes you look socially progressive. That's not going to work anymore. People aren't falling for that shit now. They're finally seeing the forest through the trees. But it kind of reminds me of the shit that went on in the 70s. Even though I was just a little kid when that came out, I still watch a lot of movies and I kind of follow with what was happening. Is you had a lot of this anti-Vietnam sentiment being shoved into everything, and people were getting tired of it and checking out and not seeing those movies. And that's where they in the wake of that was when you had movies like Death Wish and Dirty Harry and a lot of these like gritty, Mad Max stuff like that was coming out, and because the stuff with the anti-heroes was becoming more popular because they wanted to see that versus this anti-war politics being shoved into every single movie. Because the only reason I know all this is how it was explained to me by my parents. It's literally the same loop happening right now that happened in
it's the pendulum going back and forth, and it's starting to swing the other way.
Correct.
Yeah. And this is something I actually learned in college, and it applies to music, but entertainment, and again, all forms of media. But there always seems to be a pendulum that swings between more liberal art and more conservative art. And I mean, in the 90s is definitely more grungy, more, I don't know. Everything's just so sterilized nowadays. I think we need to get back to some of that grit. And
I do. I agree. That's why I was excited about Joker doing well. I wanted it to do well at the box office. I didn't need to artificially inflate that number whatsoever. It caught on, and people were wanting that kind of entertainment. There was a demand for it. Yeah,
exactly.
Like DC was smart. They found a void and they filled it with exactly what people were looking for at the right time.
Yep.
I still need to see Aquaman. I really liked Shazam, but my problem is, I don't want to really stare at Jason Momoa for 2 hours. I will if it's a good story, but
I'm going to tell you, man, Aquaman is everything opposite of what I've just been talking about, but I still fucking love it. I do. It's a goofy fucking movie, but damn if it's not a good time.
I need to check it out.
It was really good.
It's worth watching if you have like a newer TV and you want to see a really cool thing to look at with your new 4K TV.
Yeah,
that's the one for sure.
All right. Well, I happen to have a 4K TV, so maybe
there you go. Yeah, watch it on that. Once you figure out that the movie itself is not taking itself too seriously, you can have a good time with it. I was genuinely entertained by the fact that it was kind of self-aware,
Yeah. And that's all I want, is to be entertained. It doesn't have to jump through any spell. Just again, back to good storytelling.
Exactly. It's a pretty simple story that you've seen before, but it's just the fact in the way that it's told makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty movie to look at too.
Nice.
Yep. That was one thing about it. It was just visually very captivating. Absolutely. I don't know. The sequel to that one, I really hope that they kind of keep in the same line with it. I'm kind of anxious to see what they're going to do with that.
Have the same director, keep it the same, same tone. I don't want to change tones. I don't want them to dial it back, because one of the reasons why that did so well is because it just embraced the ridiculousness of everything that's going on. I mean, you have people riding around on fucking great white sharks like they're horses.
Mhm.
You can't take that shit.
And seahorses.
It's seahorses and octopuses that play the drums. I mean, you cannot underwater playing the drums. An octopus playing drums underwater in a movie. I mean, this is
Under
like
the sea.
this is
Under
like
the sea.
right. This is like some you know, asylum level bullshit here. But it doesn't have an asylum budget. It has a full blown, I think, like 200 million or some shit they spent on this movie, and it shows. It's really cool.
Yep, that was definitely a good movie. Like I said, I really dug it. It was basically Black Panther underwater, but
Yes, it's the same movie. It's exact same story.
it was done and executed.
I think it was done better than that.
And
Black Panther.
that was my next point. It was executed better. It didn't have the missteps that Black Panther had, but Aquaman wasn't trying to be preachy to anybody.
No, it was not.
Black Panther was,
and about anything going on in Aquaman.
I really like Black Panther. That's like one of my favorite MCU movies. But I acknowledge its faults, and it is heavy-handed as fuck at times.
There's a couple of moments in there that, like, oh, here we go. But
Yep.
I didn't feel like I was being talked down to. From that movie.
Not an
But
Aquaman.
there are definitely glaring political messages in that movie for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, Aquaman never hit those beats, and it was just a cool, stylized, colorful, fucking fun DC movie. And after the Zack Snyder stuff, which I enjoyed, you got more of a comic book type movie with the way it was shot and everything, and the color palettes they used. And the visuals they use underwater, it was great. I really dug it. And
I like Zack Snyder as a director. Actually, I liked his remake of Dawn of the Dead. I thought it was really impressive.
Mhm.
And I didn't think I'd ever say that, but his version is just as fun to watch as the original. And of course, he did the 300. I just want him to stay away from DC and Marvel and the superheroes, because his idea of what superheroes are not what most people's idea of superheroes are.
Yeah.
They have to be these dark, brooding, tragic heroes, and that doesn't work for all of those characters. And I think everybody can come to agree that is the case, especially after BVS.
Oh yeah. No, that there's been some really good ones. Like I said, Shazam was another one. I really liked the way that was shot, and I really liked Zachary Levi in it. I
still like The Watchmen. I'm thinking about picking up the director's cut. They got it on sale on Vudu. I like that. That's a comic book, but that's an isolated one-off comic that doesn't keep going. You know what I mean? So his vision works for that type of a story. I just don't want to see him doing Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman or any of those other characters ever again. Stay the hell away from that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want that dark, brooding look anymore at all, period. Unless it's something like, Joker, okay?
Yeah, what about so what about when J.J. Abrams comes over to DC, though? That's
quiet.
Yeah.
You be quiet, you.
I'm more of a DC fan than I am a Marvel fan.
I don't know what's up with that guy. Him and Alex Kurtzman, man. They specialize in butchering the fuck out of things that don't need to be tinkered with, and I don't get it. Those are the guys that you bring in to resurrect something from the dead, and then don't let them do anything else. But the problem is when you bring those guys in, they can't. J.J. Abrams can reboot a movie series, but then he needs to get the fuck off as soon as possible, after that, because the mystery box shit, you can have J.J. Abrams direct it, but don't have him write it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If we had a year of no reboots, though, if that man could just come up with an original idea, even if he just starts it off and hands it off to Tony Gilroy or somebody, if we could have a year of no reboots, because I'm sorry, but that's not much of a talent, in my opinion, able to reboot.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's really not. The reboots, I mean, I've been saying for a while you need to pump the brakes on the reboots, but I have seen them reboots redone where they're pretty good, or sequels done that are pretty good. I saw Bad Boys 3 and it was great.
Yeah, I'm not against them.
It's 13 years old, and I felt like no time lapsed between those movies. None.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. You know, there are just so many of them right now. It kind of gets lost in the woodwork. You know, the good ones. So I'd love to see a year of just original. Even if the movies are bad, at least they're original. You know, at least they're.
I want to see somebody come back like Canon Films that's willing to take risks. And I'm sorry, Blumhouse ain't doing it. All right.
Nope.
Blumhouse's ratios of hits to misses is starting to stagger on the other side. You know what I mean? It's like more misses than hits.
Yeah.
And I'm so tired of those fuckers. Every single trailer from the producers of Get Out, Us, and Halloween. Every movie, the producers of Us, Get Out, and Halloween. Like, dude, Fantasy Island, really?
Oh yeah, that pisses me off.
you,
I love that
The
show.
blade. It's the blade.
I'm contemplating. I really want to do a video on that today, just like a trailer reaction and just a what the fuck Blumhouse type video. I'm still gonna go with that because I can't come up with anything better to make a video on than that. It's like every time I see that trailer, I'm like, who, why, what, how? Explanations, please. I want to know who's responsible for that. All right, why are you doing this? Like, I could see something like that as a black comedy, but it doesn't look like a black comedy. It looks like a serious horror movie called Fantasy Island. With what's his name playing Mr. Rourke from
Michael Pena.
Yeah, Michael Pena.
Yep.
Why?
You know, I've got a new idea for sequel to Stealing Solo, and we can send the world-class bullshitters to Hollywood, pull everyone's dicks out of each other's ass, blow away all the cocaine, and force them to sit down at in a writer's room and come up with some ideas.
That's the problem right there, man. Is these writers' rooms? They're so focused. At least, maybe not so much. Hopefully, it's starting to change now. But these writers' rooms are full of people that are trying to outdo one of another as to how woke they are. You know, like they're trying to out-woke each other in the writer's room.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
And that's why you're getting these shitty stories, because there's like too many diversity hires and everybody's trying to impress each other or make a statement to the point to where there's no good story when you get done. No story that even works.
There's not that single vision that would make it successful in the first place. It gets diluted.
Wasn't it last night where I mentioned something about the maybe it's, I don't know. At some point, I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about what happened to the Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, which I loved. The first fucking season was magnificent. The second season shit the bed because it happened right during the writer's strike.
Yeah.
So they brought in the second string that clearly did not understand what they were doing. I don't even think they thought they were going to get a second season. And it went south really bad. But you can tell the difference between paying writers and not paying writers by just watching that series from start to finish.
Yeah.
You watch season 1, you're like, holy shit, this is great. Why is this not still a thing? And then you watch season 2 and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Fucking hell. But I don't know, guys.
Something go downhill like that.
Something, yeah. It like I said, it happened during the writer's strike, so it didn't get renewed for a third season, and that's why I was jumping up and down and screaming when they were announcing doing the fucking Dark Fate. Instead of doing that, why don't you just bring back that cast from that TV show, somehow fix it with some decent writing? You wouldn't have to spend nearly the same amount of money. You could get the same heroes involved. You still got your female protagonists. There's a show with all female protagonists that I like. You got fucking Summer Glau playing a really kick-ass Terminator, and you got Lena Headey, who I love, playing Sarah Connor, who I think is the best Sarah Connor since Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
And I'll stand by that. I'll still stand by that.
Yeah, they've ruined some really good entertainment over the last.
Rather because at least that show was trying to do something different. It's you could have put that like on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or something. They could have paid for that. But no, we're gonna redo the movie and we're gonna give you the same movie that you've already seen 3 fucking times.
Surprise! Oh hell, that's how Hollywood works. It's all about subversion.
They they keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. It's insanity.
Yep.
I was talking to Pete about this, and Hollywood has always had its problems, but I kind of feel like for as bad as the man was, Harvey Weinstein was kind of the Saddam Hussein of Hollywood. And
oh God, that's perfect.
Yeah, and when he pulled out destabilized,
over McGavie,
you have like Elizabeth Banks directing these movies that should have never been made. You have Dr. Dolittle, so the stables. The region is unstable right now. It was a big shock to Hollywood pulling the guy out of there because he had been involved and had his hands in so many jars for so long.
The only thing with that though is there was a lot of crappy, shitty, awful movies that were coming out under his reign too, though.
Yeah.
So I don't even think that's it. I think it's just that people don't know how to write a good story. Everything has to be over-explained to where it's dumb, and then the more you explain it, the more confusing you make it.
Yeah, that was one thing with the Joker. I mean, I could think of 1,000 different questions right now that movie left open to interpretation, including if it happened at all. So
sure.
Yep.
You're right.
That was done well. That ending was done so well.
I can't believe that my parents liked that movie. I thought they were going to hate it. I was expecting them to be like disgusted by it. And then I told them, I'm like, now you realize that this movie had protesters and people saying that this movie was like socially irresponsible and stuff like that. And they just looked at me like, why? I'm like, you tell me.
Yep.
You tell me. The media tried to bury this movie and they can't bury it now. They've lost on this one. So yeah. That's why I say the tide's turning, and then this is a big milestone. Is just the Joker existing and being nominated for the Oscars.
Yeah, I can agree on that whole tide turning because I saw this movie. I don't know if you've heard of it or seen it, called Danger Close. It's a Vietnam War movie, but it follows the Battle of Long Tan, which is actually with the Australian soldiers and New Zealanders, no Americans, and it's probably the best war movie I've seen in a while because I know people like Fury, but I honestly hate Fury. I don't care for it.
I don't like it.
It feels so hollow. But when I saw this, I actually cared. I enjoyed this movie. This was like us saying it's the best war movie I've seen in a long time, and I'm glad I bought it because I never saw it. Saw the trailer, I knew it probably would be good, and I just happened to see it at Walmart and I bought it because it didn't come out in theaters over here. That's the only thing that sucked. But it was a damn good movie, so I do recommend anyone who likes war movies to watch that one.
Let me ask you this, Tap, because you're younger than me. What did they teach you in school about Vietnam?
Okay, let's see. Let me think about it for a second. Okay, because it's hard to say because I can't really. I don't really remember. I think they wanted to say they talked about that it happened, but everything I know about it was stuff I learned on my own because I was curious. Okay, I was interested. I wanted to know more. Yeah.
Because I went to grade school in the 80s, okay? And then I graduated in 92. I don't know shit about Vietnam. I still don't know shit about Vietnam. I have to research all that shit on my own. I don't know how it got started, what happened. They just glossed over that shit.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I know they remember the mention happened because it's like coincides right there with talking about Martin Luther King and all that stuff and the civil rights. It gets talked about. But I honestly remember finding more about it because I was ROTC, my teacher, the colonel in charge of us, he knew I had like a interest in learning about military history. So he made sure I learned some stuff. He told me things about him, about when he was younger, his experience during that time. And then I would watch movies and I said, oh, fuck it, I'm going to watch documentaries about it. Yeah. And stuff I wanted to know, I had to learn on my own basically because I was already curious. Yeah.
There's a lot of documentaries. There's entire channels dedicated to the documentaries now. But like in the 80s, you did not have access to that information. Like you would have to go to the library and look for it if you were lucky to even find anything. The Vietnam War,
I can understand that.
Was buried. Like it's almost this dirty little secret that didn't exist. And then that irritated me.
Which is a shame because
history was one of my favorite subjects, and I'm like, why are we selectively? Are you selectively telling us things? Like I know every aspect of World War II and a lot about World War I, but nothing about Vietnam.
I have a theory. The armed population, and they just don't want to promote that. You know, that's why we, quote unquote, lost the Vietnam War, was because we're fighting against an armed population, not another army. World War II, we were fighting against, and we won. We were fighting against other militaries. They don't like to promote,
with other countries on the same side too.
Yeah, exactly. If we wouldn't have teamed with Russia, but I mean, they just don't want to promote that. It was an armed population. It was the Vietnamese people who were fighting back, not the military. So
it's a history versus politics right there. Because I love history, even if it's something that you don't want to talk about. I know so little about the Vietnam. All I know about Vietnam War is that there was a lot of drugs, a lot of people died, nothing went right, and war was hell. That's all I know. That's it. But I learned what PTSD was from Vietnam, from the vets that I've known personally. Yeah. Other than that, people don't talk about it like it didn't fucking exist. So if you want to know anything about Vietnam, you have to research that shit on your own. I don't know how we got to this subject, but here we go.
Basically.
Oh hell yeah! That way, I've done a lot of research because my dad's a vet. My dad's a non-vet, so
yeah. It's not that
he doesn't talk about it,
right? Yeah, it's not that it's something like, oh, this is exciting. It's just that it would be nice to know the context of what happened so that I could understand some semblance of what these people went through.
Yep.
And why there was such polarizing times in the 60s because of Vietnam. I would like to know why,
Okay, because I remember something I hadn't thought about in a while. So I was in middle school, and you're asking about teachers and whatnot. Okay, I was in computer class, and around this time there was this game that came out called Shell Shock NAM 67. This is a PS2 game, and I loved it and whatever. And so I was on the internet. I was looking it up, and I saw pictures of it, and I was like, "Oh, I can print these out." There were some pretty cool still images for it. And I remember the teacher, this old dude. I honestly think he was some hippie back in the day. He came up, he's like, "Why are you so obsessed with the Vietnam War?" And I was like, "I'm not obsessed. I'm just a game, and I'm curious about what it's about." And I was just looking at pictures of the game. I wasn't actually looking at pictures of the actual war. Yeah. I'm like, and to this day, I think to myself, if I was a little older and I would have been like, because I want to know more about it, asshole. It's not that I was obsessing over it. I was curious. And like I said, it was pictures of the game, not the actual war. So I was like, calm the hell down. People still have this stigma about it, though, about the whole Vietnam War.
Not to offend anybody, but that's the thing with hippies. They're always like, yeah, man, peace, love, tolerance, accept other ideas. But, suggest nuclear power, talk about the Vietnam, suggest something to a hippie that they don't agree with, and watch how mad they get.
And that's why I was mentioning that last night, dude. If Joker gets picture of the year, fucking people are gonna implode. Like the blue check marks are going to literally implode.
Yep.
They will lose their shit. That's why I don't think it's going to win. I really don't.
Mass hysteria, raining cats off. Mass hysteria.
I'm not anti-Joker. It was definitely one of my favorite movies that came out last year, but I don't personally think that it's going to win because they probably thought that through, and if it does, there's going to be too many meltdowns over it. So, so just getting the nomination is probably as close as it's going to get. Now, Joaquin Phoenix will still get the Oscar for it, but it's not going to get Best Picture of the Year. It can't. Yep. If it does, I will be genuinely surprised.
See, didn't Todd Phillips bash woke culture though when he?
Yes, he did.
So I don't think
that movie 100% bashes woke culture, and that's one of the things I like about it a lot.
Same here, but I mean, even in interviews, he was bashing it, and he said that's why he left comedy. But I don't think he's gonna win. Like, I'd love to see Joker win, but I don't think they're gonna give anything to Todd Phillips because of that. Unfortunately,
Yep.
They can't. There's just too much politics at stake there for that to happen. But yeah, that was one. Another one that really surprised me was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There's another movie that's very anti-woke culture. Every time Leonardo DiCaprio says those fucking hippies, I lose my shit. The way he does, he's walking around with a fucking pitcher of margarita, like fucking hippies. In his bathrobe. In that movie went way out of its way to say these people were shit.
I hate hippies.
Dirty, scummy, people diving. When they introduced you to the hippies in the movie, they're dumpster diving and singing songs notes, and I'm like, wow, that was on the nose. Yeah.
That's why I love that King of the Hill episode when they show the hippies, you could tell they just fuck these people. Like there was that episode where they go camping and those hippies are all there. And what the best part is when they shut off all the services the park provides, and Hank's like, oh yeah, I could show you how to do all this stuff on your own. As soon as they found out they had to do stuff for themselves, they got the fuck up out of there. And that's just the hippie in a nutshell.
What's funny about that tap is my parents, both my mom and my dad, are always telling, they grew up in the 60s. I've seen old pictures of them. They got the long hair and everything, but they were not hippies. And they said
that was my grandma too. She said, "Oh, I dressed that." Yeah.
They said that most people that claimed they were hippies were not real hippies. They said the real hippies were like homeless people that were strung out on dope and like they didn't smell so good, they didn't live anywhere. And when Tarantino showed that movie, it's identical to what my parents described hippies as actually being. It was almost like Tarantino saying, "Hey, these hippies that you guys glorify, these are what they were actually like. Yeah. They're not cool. They don't shave. They're not very clean. They live like scumbags. It's like it went way out of its way to show you that aspect. And I'm like, and I'm watching that with my parents. I'm like, so is that kind of what they were like? And they're like, yeah, pretty much.
Because my grandma, she would say, oh yeah, dressed in all that stuff, but I wasn't against the Vietnam War. I wanted to join. I wanted to be a nurse, but I just, for some reason, I couldn't handle blood, so I couldn't do my part. That's always made me proud of her. She's like, I wasn't like that because I wanted to join, but she, ever since that, she still can't handle blood to this day. I feel bad for her. I could have said, hey, my grandma was in Vietnam.
That whole movie is just showing you how media has glorified hippie culture and Charles Manson and all that, turned all them into pop culture heroes. And
it's kind of like what they're doing with the Big Bang. It goes back full circle.
The hippies lost, Mr. Lebowski.
I was just going to say that.
Hey, right?
The bums
Get a job,
lost, Lebowski. The bums have lost.
That was. Oh,
fucking love that movie.
Yeah. And I just watched that on the whim. Nobody told me about it or if it was good. I just said, it says, John Goodman. It's all right, cool. I like John Goodman. And I watched it and I enjoyed the hell out of it. And I love that he's a Vietnam War veteran or whatever. He's all talking about Nam and shit.
I did not watch my buddies die face down in the mud. Oh, Walter.
Just like fucking Saigon, eh, Slick? How's it junior high, dickhead?
Shut the fuck up, Donnie.
You're out of your fucking element, Donnie.
Oh, man.
Not everything's about Vietnam, Walter. Jesus Christ.
Right. What was that Vietnam shit when I think they were having that ceremony? He started talking about Nam.
Yeah.
He's like, what the hell was that Vietnam shit?
Yeah.
That entire scene, that entire handoff scene with the briefcase and the guys on the little street bikes was some of John Goodman's best work, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just an amazing scene.
And then when he has the ringer, then he drops his Uzi or whatever, he goes off.
Yeah.
He got the ringer. He's like, what? The royal we. He's trying to explain that Walter was there. Oh, God.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so, hippies suck.
Yeah, but...
Goddamn hippies. Oh hell. I think this is about where I'm going to end it here.
Yeah, I think we're out of ideas now.
We've been,
we beat Star Wars to death, and we were beaten down by Star Wars, but I think it ended up where it deserves.
Yeah.
You know, it's on a somber ending that you know this great franchise got mishandled so poorly, and yet the people that are in charge don't have to answer for any of their mistakes. They've demonstrated that they live in a world that's full of participation awards, and you can fail upwards and make as many mistakes as you want and still get patted on the back for it. And that's unfortunate.
Yep, that is correct. Well, this has been some Star Wars spectacular morning here on the Place to Be Reviews. I've been joined by Groovinator. Groove, what do you got coming up later? I know you got another podcast tonight.
Yeah, I'm doing a podcast tonight, and then we got the boardroom on Wednesday, and Thursday I'm going to go see The Turning, and then Friday we got our usual Grindhouse show that we've turned it into now.
Yep.
And then Saturday we're doing the watch party for Cannibal Women, the Avocado Jungle of Death.
Excellent, excellent. Tap, what do you got coming up the rest of the week?
Oh, nothing much, just the usual, sitting on my ass and doing the fan cast on Friday. But I have a joke for you if you'd like to hear it.
Absolutely, go for it.
So, Pete, what do you get when you cross a 40-year-old fandom with a company that only cares about money? What you get what you fucking deserve, Disney.
Thanks for coming on this morning, Tap. It was good having you back on, man.
Mm-hmm. No problem.
Tony,
you know, I almost hope that Todd Phillips, if that's the product that he makes when he's angry, dude, make more angry fucking movies, dude.
That's my thoughts too.
Don't stop now. I was shocked because I'm not a fan of the Hangover series at all. I'm not into those. Like
I like the first one.
I don't care about any of them. But after seeing that, I'm like, dude, bring it, man. Make more of this,
Oh,
not a direct sequel to the Joker, but just make more movies that are that level of giving a shit. You know what I mean?
Yep, absolutely. Tony, thanks for joining us, man. I know it's early for you, but thanks for joining in this morning, brother.
Hey, it's never too early, man. Thanks for having me. Always appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. Well, this has been the Place to Be Reviews Good Morning Fandom Menace kind of morning show today. I said no more morning shows on Tuesday, and then we just decided to do this kind of last minute yesterday. So I figured, what the hell? It was fun, and went on as long as a normal podcast. So absolutely, always a good time. So you guys, I will be back. No videos today. I have a lot to do. As this kind of eats up a big chunk of my day while my kid's at school. So no videos today. Maybe later on. Who knows? You'll probably get one out of me. Tomorrow I will be on the boardroom. You'll have another video. You'll have a video tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday I'm on Groove's show over at Raiders of the Lost Flicks Live. Saturday I'll be on the watch party for Amazon Women in the Avocado Jungle of Death.
Cannibal Women in the Avocado Jungle. I am so tired of saying that long ass title. I like that movie, man, but God damn it, I hate saying that title.
The Snoo movie. So this has been the Place to Be Reviews. I'm Itepokuin, and I've been here with all of yous. And remember, if I don't see you, have a great day and a pleasant tomorrow. And there